Resuming.
I know, this is not, it's all about me. It's all about me.
You always know that.
It's myself.
Hi, Mom.
Just a second. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God.
Okay, so Sarah, okay, you let me know when you're ready, because
All
all
right.
right.
We're gonna wait a few more minutes and just see if anybody else arrives, and then we'll be good to go.
Okay, all right.
Who brought the wine?
It's
Oh, I
in
did.
my refrigerator.
I got it.
This is not coffee in this cup.
Sky looks like a real pro.
Yeah, really.
I love Bob. Bob is looking on his iPhone. Where are these tiny little post-its?
I am not on my iPhone. I'm on my computer. I just don't have my glasses on.
Might be a thing, Bob.
Yeah, that might be a thing. I'll put the glasses on.
There we go.
Look at those two right there.
Commented. Oh,
Yeah.
more people coming in.
Name Bobby, you gotta speak so we can hear your accent.
Hey, look at that.
Speaking.
Hey, Grandpa Nana.
Oh, there you go. See, new people come on.
Okay.
Okay. I am unmuting the chaos.
I'm using the camera.
Unmuting the chaos.
We are collectively looking up
Oh.
Sherry's nose.
That's right.
Okay. Sky,
was taking my
I'm gonna go get
tab
David.
off.
Hi,
Okay,
Sherry.
I'm gonna go get David.
I can't see you now. I can't see you anymore.
Okay, I need you.
Hey, Bob.
I'm looking
Yes.
at us rather than that.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hey, Bob. My dance partner. He was
That's right.
You were Stickman and I was Twig Woman. I'm not
That's
Twig
right.
Woman.
Oh,
Here we are.
I'm not Stickman anymore either, so.
There, right there.
Couldn't beat it in mine.
that's better.
Down here.
Sarah Floyd will be our technician, and so if you have any help.
Happy
And-
birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. To you. Woo, woo.
There we go. Yay.
Hey.
We all need haircuts.
We do. That's no doubt
What
there.
happened?
But
Somebody is projecting.
There we go.
Oh, no, Rosen, shoot. There we go. God, you're the one. All right.
I just want you to know I'm here under false pretenses. I was misled.
Uh-huh.
It's not your
Okay.
birthday,
So,
Okay.
Sky, how old are we gonna be?
Younger than you.
That's right. We are a month younger than you.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay. Here's the way this party's gonna run. Like a train wreck
Yeah.
on ice. And we
Oh,
are
well, that's appropriate for me.
we are so blessed that this event is referred to as D-Day. Because David, this is your day.
Yay.
We are here globally
Oh
because of the gift of your life. We are here connecting with you. I'm going to cry, and it's Tom Smith's fault.
My fault.
Too much tequila in the margarita. Just saying.
Oh.
And David, your loving wife, reached out a couple
yes.
of days ago. So this Ms.
My
Ms. Direction over here is engaged the globe to celebrate your life. And so what we've
Oh my
done
gosh.
is created believe it or not, we've actually got a schedule of
Of course, Sky, you're in
Yes.
charge. So let's
5 hours from now, we can speak.
well, you are down there just above Sarah so Sarah, bless her, Sarah Mackenzie Floyd has coordinated this. I expect lots of tears. If you don't, I will be very disappointed.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sky. I'll see what I can do.
I have currently, there's 4 more humans. Okay. Oh my gosh, owner and owner 2.
Oh my gosh, I have not seen some of these people in forever.
And owner 3. Okay. And I will keep admitting humans as they come.
Wow.
I'm gonna start muting
Sue.
and
Elise. Our
My screen
baker.
isn't big enough.
the humans can.
And I see Anita Mix. Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Boyd Mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And Wick, it has
Carly.
been forever and too long. Oh my gosh.
and I don't know where David went now. He's off my screen.
Yeah. Happy birthday, David, wherever you are.
So
there you are.
many lines come to mind, Sky. So many
Yeah.
lines come to mind.
So Sarah Mackenzie Floyd coordinated this. She will be helping you messaging each other on Facebook if you have questions.
God knows that we'll need it.
And us. Oh, and Melissa. And there's more. Just keep. We've got probably how many humans, Sarah?
About 30 to 40.
Oh my gosh.
And
That's
people-
like
Where's Melissa
Wow, the
Moore?
pictures are going to get really little.
That's right.
They might.
Wait, I gotta have time to figure out who all you are, my lord. That too.
I am
I'm gonna say everybody.
recording this, so you will get a copy of this.
Oh no, there's a thread.
Amy Cook.
Do we want a copy of this?
Yeah, no.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what the
you in the Department of Homeland Security.
That's right.
that's what the judge said.
All right. I gotta like say hi to people here, right? Okay, Lloyd and Anita, I saw them not too long ago. I'm sorry, this is what's great. Sarah Airdrie, I know. Naomi and who is that fine, upstanding young woman immediately to your left? My gosh, your mom. And then, oh my Lanta, it's that young. Last time I saw her, she was on our deck, and I don't even want to talk about what was going on. A long time ago.
Probably best, David.
It's probably best, yes. And then there's Roberto. Good to see you, Robert.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, there's the rest of Clan Floyd. All right. And well, I feel particularly honored now that Jim actually put on a bow tie for this event. What is the pattern there?
Wearing it all day.
You know, my brother is now a bow tie guy he wears a different one for each class he videotapes for city. So it's
God. I have to go shut the dog up.
I won't be able to talk.
There will be an open mic session, a fellowship opportunity later, but I'm going to start muting people so that David can talk, and then I'm going to start working on a list here in a minute, David.
Well, I got to get to everybody before I forget somebody. Don't stop to look at anything, or you won't have time to see everything.
Yeah.
All right. Kimberly and David. David. I hope I look as debonair and suave as you do. And then there's, of course, that beautiful you next to you. My gosh. And Pam and Wicks, it has been so long. I'll even forgive the baseball cap. Well, I think I was referring more to your choice in teams. I wasn't.
Yeah, sorry, Wicks. I can't seem to unmute you. Oh, there you are. Now Wicks is live.
I thought you wanted to see if I really had hair.
All right.
Well, you know, Wicks, men are given so many hormones, and if you want to use yours to grow hair, that's your business.
Oh, please.
Hey, no one ever told me that. That's the problem.
Tom and Sherry. Oh, it's so good to see you. We met a couple of weeks ago outdoors. That was lovely. Oh my gosh, and we are in a clergy-rich environment.
Oh.
Dawn, I so loved your you're doing parking lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Drive. The Catholics serve communion that way around here locally.
Yeah.
They don't get quite the crowd Starbucks does, but they're closing in. Okay, I will say, I just want to know, Clan Baker, I just want to know that that's not the same cap you had on the last time I saw you in the vehicle bay. Yeah, you don't need hair. Whatever it is grown into the cap. You're going to have to get it surgically removed. So what did you do with that boatload of kids that you have in the house now?
The toddler is napping. I don't think she's really napping. The teenager is on her phone. And the 12-year-old is playing in the bathroom. I'm not really sure.
Right. I teach middle school, so I'm not going to be taken by any of it. It's so good to see you guys. My land. And Subi, I just want you to know I did taste test the shortbread, and it's normal, amazing self. Thank you. For those who don't know, Sue is cursed by the gods to make me shortbread on my birthday, or sometime within a month of my birthday. So thank you.
You're welcome.
My gosh, I don't know how the Sprigs fit me into their schedule during a political season. I am just moved. I've become an anarchist. I just wanted to let you know. At least that's today. Ask me again tomorrow. So you're not how are you guys surviving no baseball season? I know, I'm talking too much. Why are you surprised?
That's hard. Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah. Yeah. Did you see what Some Good News did for opening day at Boston?
Oh yes, that was fantastic. Yeah.
Mandatory watching. Carly girl, dance it. I hope you have your shoes off so I know who you are.
I'm at work.
Oh, and
So I have my shoes on.
Well, kick them off, girl.
why, Melissa Mork, my blessings, Melissa Bartman Morka.
Hi.
Hi, I am a fan, if perhaps a quiet fan, of your posts.
Thank you.
Press more.
As
So good to see you.
a chaplain who deals with grief, well done. No, my heart beats. Lynn Van Mannery, I was at your wedding, Lynn.
I know. 12 months ago.
Yeah, I even dressed up.
It was fabulous. I have pictures if anybody wants to see them.
Yeah, that's right, there's proof. I still know how to put on a tie.
You do.
Well, yeah. I had to have help, but. Amy, so good to, I know I'm being not, I'm taking too long, I'm sorry.
No.
Good birthday.
It's your birthday.
Amy and Ron, okay, Amy and Ron, are you in separate rooms for marital reasons? So listen. Okay, I'll trust all as well there then. Amy, I love the elephant reports. Thank you. Keep them coming.
Thank you. One of these days I'll get a good camera.
Reports on the elephants in the zoo. That's her backyard. Russ and Allison, so good.
Oh, they have virtual background.
Oh,
Yeah, we thought we would have it. We brought the deck to you today.
Yeah, here's the deck. So here we go. King.
Yeah, there's wine here. There's wine here somewhere. Like it's our house. Good wine, good cheese, good coffee, and Sarah. I'm happy.
And deck.
And the deck. That's right. The deck. We can be out on the deck now. Teresa, I have your iPad and you're on it.
Yes, here I am. I'm here. I am just in awe at this gathered group here and delighted to be able to be a part and to wish you a glorious birthday.
Well, very glad to see you. And none of us are bereaved. Isn't that nice?
Yes, that is really wonderful that none of us are.
You went there.
Yeah. Well,
What are we gonna do? with
Teresa
it, huh?
spends her life talking to bereaved, or at least last I knew, that's what she did. Pammy! Oh, it's so good to see you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And something with that Bart guy, is he still around, or have you finally found a good home?
I'll go get him. He's in the living room. I'll bring him in.
Leave it to Bart to have to make an entrance.
I think people want to see you. You want to come
Oh.
in? He's coming.
Well, he may, if he doesn't, I don't know him.
He'll be here.
Claire, oh my gosh. Well, I guess this is one, it looked like, for those of you who don't know, Sarah and I were scheduled to travel to Australia as a gift. One of my father's gifts in his legacy was for us to go visit Australia one more time. And unfortunately, Claire was not going to be there, but she was going to give us her car. but a year, by the time it's probably going to have to be a year from now, since, you know, there's this COVID-19 thing going on. And so maybe by then, both you and your car will be available. We'll hope for that. So, oh, and you're a professor now. I'm sorry, Dr. Lewin. Forgive me.
Oh,
Forgive me.
thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling for the next wee while.
Yeah, not a lot of us. And Jody, gosh, you guys all look like yourselves. How do you do that? Oh, well. Good to see you. How are those lovely children of yours?
Very well.
Okay, that's good. I know children. What am I talking about? With the women off on their own lives.
Well,
Yes.
they're actually both staying here right now because of the whole COVID thing. But Jaden's just finishing up her second year at the University of Toledo, but she had to move out of the dorms and come home. She's
Right.
begun Thursday.
Right.
And she's working at the local hospital as a nursing assistant. So.
Okay, bless her heart. Frontline, she and Sarah Mackenzie Floyd can share stories.
Yep.
Amongst others of you. Well, bless your heart, all of you who are engaged. All I can speak for we have several healthcare workers, including a senior epidemiologist at USC as parents at my school. So we get a lot of direct poop on that. And I'll tell you, this will be.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear. Hang on.
Unfreeze, David, unfreeze.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh, okay.
There he goes.
And you're back.
Yeah, and we're back.
All right, shutting up now.
All right.
And you said the answer was, and you cut out. So 43, I don't know. No, David, you keep your mic open, because what we're
That's a
going to do,
mistake.
only to those that are either just getting up or just going to bed, which we have globally, an entire global experience going on here. And we are a global community before it was kitsch. Oh, see what I did there? Anyway, Sarah, I'm going to let you open us in prayer. Sarah Mackenzie Floyd, named after her godmom.
There we go. Can everybody hear me okay?
Thumbs up. Hand signals are good.
All right. Dear God, thank you so much for the wonderful life of David Kitch and the ministry of Covenant Players that brought all these wonderful people together in different stages of their lives.
Wow.
I know that experience had its good and bad moments, but we're thankful that it led us to meet each other and to have moments like these to celebrate David and just to take some time in the midst of all this craziness and be together. I pray that you'll be with us in these moments as we share and just catch up a little bit. And once again, we say thank you for David and Sarah and everybody who's come to be a part of this. Happy birthday. Amen.
Amen. Well, and the irony, of course, for Sarah to say the things that brought us together without Covenant Players, Sarah, you may not have happened. Just saying. Naomi, tag, you're it. Unmute yourself. I can't find you. You'll have to unmute yourself. Naomi.
All right, am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are.
Very cool.
Bring it on.
Okay, well,
David, we have a little slot. It's 9:30 in the morning, or nearly 10 in the morning here, and we've actually all got to go to work, which is a bit sad. But it's just awesome to be able to see you and to say happy birthday. And it's just cool that actually 3 generations of, you know, of Kiwi girls who have actually been quite impacted by you, but in quite different ways. And I guess with a couple minutes, I wanted to say I've got so many memories of you, but
Careful.
Yeah, some are unmentionable, but no. But one is that David Kitch gave me my first head massage. I had a pretty rough and eventful tour in New Zealand, and both you and Sarah came over to pick up the pieces a little bit, and yes, I remember getting a head massage from you and thinking, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing in the world. So there you go, that's one memory. Do you guys have any memories? Or
I don't have any memories other than ones on the deck, of course. But I spent 2 weeks with David and Sarah, actually after I was with Anita and Lloyd in Colombia, and just had a really cool 2 weeks with them, sort of debriefing some pretty major stuff that had happened over the last 6 months. And yeah, I just remember those conversations that we had, and have been very grateful for the growth that I had through you guys in that time. Yeah, and I wish that you were able to come to New Zealand in July, like you guys were planning. Next year, hopefully.
We'll make it. We'll make it. If I have to paddle the canoe, we'll make it.
Yeah.
Lovely. Mike?
Well, it was no problem.
I guess I'm just thinking, one last picture in my mind. David, I think you've become a bit of an icon to me. And it's an icon of a maturing wine, deep red wine, that's been on the shelf now for 30-something years. And I have looked at it with anticipation and joy and excitement, thinking in a couple months that we were going to be drinking it, but having to wait. Delayed gratification is very good for us, so I will continue to allow that relationship to mature a wee bit from a distance, and look forward to cracking it open next year.
Well, I have no option but to let things keep maturing. So please give my love to Alan very much. And yeah. I do regret we won't see you in July, but we are definitely looking forward to the time when it finally arrives.
Yay, definitely. Cool.
Well, as we know, brevity is the soul of wit. And what's Chuck's favorite phrase at affirmations? I hate succinct.
It's succinct, friend.
And now it's the Floyd. Go Team Floyd. And I'll let you turn your own mute off. Mute. Or,
there you go.
How do we do this?
Well, as always, I'm going to be really eloquent, I can tell. It just is amazing to see all these faces. Some of these people I know by reputation more than I know by interaction or relationship. And
that's not all my fault. I just want to make clear to everybody in the stream, I am not the person who told Mike Floyd all those things about you.
And you know, the truth of life is, and I think the truth for David is that it's really Jesus that brings us all together.
Amen.
And central in all of that is a deep desire to know the Lord and to share Him richly. So I'm very grateful for that in all of the ways that's been present in my life and present in all of the lives of all of these other people. And I'm going to be quiet now and let somebody else speak before I can't.
Well, David, there are many things I could say, but there's a couple of memories I wanted to share. I know you probably don't want me to, but
I can remember when we asked if you would be Sarah's godfather, and you said, well, yes, I can, but I am not the godfather. So I remember that response. And I was thinking about some wonderful memories, and there's too many to name, but I was thinking about you fencing with Sarah when she was a small child. And oh, Sarah has the picture here to show this, but oh gosh, hard to see, but that's delightful. And the other thing I was thinking of is your incredible strength through many physical difficulties. And I was remembering, and I'm a little fuzzy, but a dance play I think you did with Shelby Young, if I remember that. But I just remember the incredible stamina I think it took. And you have great ability, but you had so much to overcome, and that just has been a life lesson for me that, yes, we can do things. I can do things that I didn't think were possible. And I just love all our discussions over the years, and I miss having those. And just pray this new year of life is just amazing for you. And it would be wonderful if you got to see all these people on the screen. And I would love to see them all in some big gathering, but just lots of love on this, your birthday.
Yay! I'm going to be short because we're already talking too long. But I have the joy of being the little sister. But you're awesome, and you and Sarah have always stuck out to me as really great people, and have always inspired me to, no matter what the obstacle, pray about it, and God will do good.
Unmute, mute. Baydars. Baydars is what I've got here. And there she is. Oh, and
there we go.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
That's go. I mean, yay.
Yay. Well, I'm just going to say happy birthday, David. I think one of my most favorite memories is when we put that fencing play together in like 24 hours because a blank spot in the schedule, and Chuck decided to write a play, and I directed it. It was really fun. Wasn't it like 24 hours that we had to put a play together?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
There's only two ways to do a play like that, either in 24 hours or 3 weeks. That's the only two choices.
Right. Well, it worked. We made it work.
You were amazing. Thank you.
Goodness.
It was fun. I think that was the summer I was pregnant with Amy.
Yes. Another good reason to do it in only 24 hours.
Right.
I'm going to let people let me know when they're finished because I don't want to cut you off. So, Jody?
Okay. Well, I'm just going to say happy birthday. This is wonderful. I think it's great. It's wonderful to see all these faces. Love you guys.
I keep hitting the wrong button at the wrong time. I believe the Bissels. Do I need to unmute the Bissels?
I think we figured it out ourselves, so that's,
Not bad, old man.
I know, right? Right? So we were trying to figure out how old you are, but if you don't want to tell us, that's fine.
62.
I guessed it.
Yeah? Yeah? Okay.
No! Sorry.
That means that Bob and Sky are almost 62 as well. Yeah, all right. So the thing that I wanted to say was that when I first met you, David, you were bald. And so you have, as a result, you haven't aged in these. So that's it. And the other memory that I was going to share is for you and Sarah, and she's not in the room, but you weren't either one involved.
She's in the room.
I am.
Oh, you are there.
Right.
So I was touring in New England in 1980, and for some reason we had a split, and I found myself on Cape Cod at an Episcopal church by myself. Now I don't know why. Maybe we had 3 play dates because I had 5. But so at this Episcopal church, I did a couple of singlets, and then I was to do the Sunday school class. And the only person that showed up at the Sunday school class was Sarah's mother. And she said, you can't teach me anything about acting. And I said, and why is that? She told me her whole story. And then she says, I have a question for you. She said, Sarah is hanging out with this young man named David, and I just haven't met him, and I want you to tell me about him. And I said, they will be a wonderful couple together. I hope they get married, and you will be very happy when you get to know him. And so that's my big main memory about, say, David and Sarah Kitch, was that I'm sure I'm not responsible for you guys getting married, but maybe I took a little stress off of you with your mother. You have anything to say?
Well, I could tell Julie Stevens stories for a long time, but I won't.
Yeah.
And we love you, and you're always in our hearts.
And our prayers as you struggle with all of your ministry activities there in Southern California that are challenging and change daily. And Jesus is in your heart and in your ministry, and we know that. So, and I hope you look as dapper as I do when you're almost 7. Well, so you grow your hair out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Bye.
Thank you both
Love
so
you
much.
guys.
Bless you.
Pam and Wicks.
Okay.
Oh.
Hi, everybody. And especially hi, David. I want to tell you, I met David one Sunday in December of 1984. We were at St. David's Church. And during the coffee hour, I noticed 2 young guys sitting at a table all by themselves. And I went over and sat down just so that I could introduce myself and see if they just give them a big welcome. And I see David Bissell going away, but David Bissell.
It's because we can't see anybody, and so he's going to go check his computer.
Okay, well, he's in my story as well. And we started talking, and they began telling me all about Covenant Players. And I was impressed, but also very confused. Where do you stay when you go out on the road? And when you come back, where do you stay? And we went back and forth about that. And then they happened to mention that a number of Covenant Players were camped out at the Kitch's apartment. And there were just so many. And all of a sudden, this was when they got back in town. They were not on the and all of a sudden I said, it just sort of casually threw it out there. Oh, by the way, we have an extra bedroom. And I thought to myself, why did I say that? And so it was the next week that David and David must have talked to the Floyds, because they came up to us and wondered if they could kind of stay with us for a while. And it has turned out to be a very blessed 35 plus years in our faith walk with the Covenant Players. So thank you all.
David, I'd add happy birthday to you, and remember that it was the Lord's introduction of us to Covenant Players first through you, and the years of joy we spent working with and supporting Covenant Players. But more than that, the incredible faith of church we have been blessed with as a consequence. So we give you great thanks. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to hold up a picture.
Sorry, technology. Sorry, we're trying to fix it. One moment.
I don't know whether you can.
I don't know where that noise is coming from. Can you hear me? Can you hear us now?
We got you. I have to say, Pam and Wicks, that also your swimming pool was a tremendous gift to me in my recovery period. And I am suffering now because I can't get to a pool. So I thought of driving up to your old place and knocking on the door and seeing if who was there might still be interested in allowing a cripple to use their pool, but I haven't tried that yet. But you guys have been.
In preparation for this, for D-Day, Pam and I have had a lot of conversations and brought back lots of memories. We're so grateful to have met you and been part of your life and the lives of so many of you. And you've blessed us in our faith walk tremendously. Whatever we're doing today, we wouldn't be doing for the Lord without having met you guys. So all through you, David. Thank you, Lord.
Thank God. Thank you too. You're just gifts. I'm gonna run out of stuff to say. You guys are so amazing. I'm sorry. Next.
Hey, David.
Where's my script?
David, I love the whole Kilroy thing you've got going on, but maybe you could tilt your monitor down a little bit. I'm sorry. It's the film TV guy.
No. Watch.
Look how skinny he is. How is this possible? Ah, Kitch. Okay, I think I've got a McGinnis. McGinnis are up. I really think you should be on the deck, just out of principle. But don't move now. We got something working.
I could have done that. All right. Hello, Jen and Jim.
Hi.
And now he's got a halo around his head. You're killing me, Kitch. You're killing me.
Quiet, Sky. So one of the things I love right now is no matter which way you point the camera, we know that house. We know that home. We've been there. We've lived there. We've had life
just there in January this year.
So I just think it's really cool. So, and the memory I want to share is from when David and I toured together 40 years ago, David. Can you believe it? We were both like infants at the time. And David and Sarah.
The drawback was I was the infant in charge. That was the mistake.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It was David's first mission as a unit leader. It was my second mission. David and Sarah were engaged. And one afternoon or maybe evening, David comes to me and said, I've been talking to Sarah and she wants to talk to you. I'm like, okay. So I go and take this phone call from Sarah, who was out in Alberta, I think. And she says, I've got permission from Chuck to come and join you guys on the last week of mission, but I don't want David to know. So we're going to surprise him. I'm like, okay, that sounds like fun. So she and I talked everything over and it was great fun. And we got all done and I went back to where David was. I think we were staying in a church that night or something. Anyway, I went back to where he was and he looks at me and says, what are you two cooking up? I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, David. He says, okay, I'm just going to tell you two things. I don't know what you're up to, but first of all, do not let it interfere with any play dates. I'm like, whatever you're talking about, David, sure, whatever. Secondly, don't let me blow it.
I loved it. We had so much fun getting Sarah there. It was, oh, it was crazy. We had a lovely time. That was the beginning of a beautiful relationship, and we love you guys dearly. Happy birthday, David. Here's to many more.
Yeah, well, a more recent memory that I thought of was when Jen and I came to supervise BIO, British Isles, British and Irish office in 2001. David and Sarah were the continental supervisors in Europe. So David came over to help with our orientation because Karen Christie was going to be transitioning back to North America and points southward from there. So David was over to help get us up and running, and we were busily moving from number 68 to number 70 in Park Road and in Rushton. But we flew over to England probably either the last day of August or the first day of September in 2001. And 10 days later, we were told, better turn on your television. And I went over, and David was doing some plastering or painting in our stairwell in the place we were moving. And I had to share some disturbing information, but David was with us that weekend. And, you know, the people there, the church friends, the British people we were in contact with really took us to their hearts. But David was there as well. And then I had to drive him back to Stansted Airport to fly back to Germany. And we didn't know if flights would be going yet. There were soldiers with guns right there. Are you flying out? He is. Okay, up to the curb, let him out. You keep driving. Yes, sir. David was with us at that time, and we loved our time working with you overseas as well, and seeing Sarah then finally that January and that summer.
We love you guys.
You too.
Thanks for the memories.
We have a surprise guest. I think Kristen Lindblom just popped in and has made a request. Oh, maybe I have to admit some Pamp.
I think you have to admit some people there, Sky.
I'm a one-armed paper hanger in a room full of alligators. I've got 100 human opportunity, but okay. Oh, and there she is, and she's coming in. And many people, I don't know who Pamp. Oh, we're going to try this. Okay, Kristen, tag, you're it. You'll have to unmute yourself because I can't find you.
Tag, I'm it.
You bumped. Let me see. Who did you bump? You owe Teresa Eli. Okay, anyway, I'm stepping away.
I just want to say how much I love you, David Kitch. That's all I have to say. I'm just so grateful that we have this shared history together, and that we've managed to stay connected and stayed in this familial way, and that you are a part of my life, and that that just didn't disappear 15 or 20 years ago, you know, when life changed, that we've managed to bridge the gaps and have stayed connected. So I just wanted to tell you that I love you. I love that beautiful girl of yours too. But I love you, and happy birthday. I just wanted to add my voice to the chimes of love. So that's all I got, Sky. I just wanted to tell the man I love him.
And that's what else do you need?
No, that's good. That's really good.
I've got Teresa on my list. If he wants to jump in. She's
somebody unmute her.
Myself. Did I do
there
that
you
okay?
Are.
Yes. Hello. I plumbed the depths of my memory to find.
Find one you could share in public.
Yeah, find one I could share in public, and so yeah. So I decided to go with a more current memory. I mean, like, this is really current. It happened a couple of years ago. You were coming out to visit your dad, and he was up in Allentown, Bethlehem area. And you had some kind of really late night flight. I was at that time driving for Lyft. had been to the airport a few times that night. And I think we texted and said, oh, gee, wouldn't that be cool if we could? Yeah, but it's not going to happen. And then about midnight, I got a text from you that said, my flight is canceled and I can't get one until tomorrow up to where I need to go. And fortunately, to me, this story is just one of those things that the life of Covenant players it never changed. You could find yourself stuck in the middle of the night at the airport in Philly. And I was spending the night at my daughter's in South Philly, could come and pick you up and bring you to her house. All the time I'm going, oh, shoot, I'm not getting permission from my daughter to bring, a virtual stranger into their home. And thinking, okay, I'm going to have to be the first one out of bed. But, we got you to the house. The miracle was we found parking close to the house, which is always a miracle, really. And I managed, the twin boys always want to sleep in whatever bed I'm in. So there was a free bed for you.
That's right.
It happened to be the top bunk of a bed with a little cabin built on top of it. So here's, this grown man sleeping in a little boy's bed. And it's like, David Kitch, that people refer to as like an icon, and I put him in the top bunk of a kid's bed. So, and fortunately, one of the twins always wakes up at as we say in our house, the butt crack of dawn. And I was able to run into Anna and David's room and say, by the way, I invited someone to spend the night. And the absolute horror on Anna's face. And it wasn't because it was David, but it was because she never has time to clean house, and she knew what her house looked like. And here I brought somebody in. And the boys got up and came running out in the hall, and that woke David up. So there we were all standing in this tiny little hall, all of us in our pajamas. Yeah. And here's what really impressed me. David got down on one knee as he was introduced to these 3-year-old twins and treated them like they were the most special little guys. And I thought, yeah, any grown adult who's done all the things that this man has done and been all the places he's been, but can still reach out to make a 3-year-old feel like they're the center of his attention. That impressed me, and that has stayed with me. And I think that's really, in so many ways, the heart of who you are, is that people will know that they are the center of your attention in the moment that you are with them. And that really makes a huge difference in people's lives, no matter how old they are, no matter how young they are. That there's a real true part of who you are that sees, and I know we've talked about this, and that this is what Jesus did, is that he saw people. He didn't miss them, he saw them. And I'm just so grateful that you have seen me and continue to see the real me that I sometimes can't even find. So many blessings to you on this day, David, and may God continue to show you favor in all you do. So I'm done. Took forever. Baptist preacher here.
Oh yeah, I'm just a puddle. I got nothing. I got nothing.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh, Sky.
You rocked it. Oh, you can't write that stuff.
That's why I don't.
Pam, I've got on my list Pam Peoples. Did you make?
Oh my God, my neighbor.
Did she make the room?
Yes.
Jump in.
Can unmute.
Unmute.
You can't unmute her.
Oh, I can't.
I can. I'm trying.
Unmute button. Oh.
I know, the button we wish we'd all had for our previous lives, right?
Oh dear God, yeah.
Why did we get it now? So anyway, it's so good to see everyone. And Sarah, thank you for organizing all of this for David's birthday. Such a blessing.
Sarah,
so I have no clue what to say. And I was thinking, wow, when did I see David last? And then I remembered a bottle of wine in my dining room. I was like, uh-oh, okay. I don't know if I know any stories from that night. But, I guess the thing that after I thought, okay, I can't tell anything about that, struck me is that it doesn't seem to matter how much time passes, but we're knit together with our hearts, you know, and we are forever 29. Thank God. So I just wanted to say happy birthday. And all of a sudden I looked at the clock and said, oh my God, I'm late. Like, I was like, oh, well, you know, so anyway, so happy birthday. It's so good to see you. And I'm looking at all the names of people who are on, and it's wonderful to be together. So all the best to you. I'm glad we're friends.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Friends for the
Sky the Zwick. Could I have just a second?
Please.
Yeah.
Take several.
Sarah, thanks for setting this all up. It's delightful, David, to be part of D-Day. We love you. We love you, Sarah. It's good to see you. We're going to make room for others. It's getting kind of full on the screen. It's wonderful to be with you.
Before you leave, I'm going to make this ask. And I asked Sarah Kitch earlier, of all of the presents that we could give David, it's time. And my question to you, Pam and Wick Stevens, of all the time that you have given, I would like to ask of this moment in our time in history that we are now creating, our own stories. What is it that you would give David if it weren't just time? In dedication to a cause, in dedication of your time, in his honor, to God, in David's name.
Thanks.
Not to put you on the spot.
Don't go until we can figure that one out. So I'll withdraw our stepping away from someone else. Let me work on that, and I'll butt in with it shortly.
Please butt in at any moment, because
we're all frozen.
You've only got Anita and Lloyd to kick out of your way. So.
Oh.
Am I? Okay, are we on?
Bogota!
Actually, David and Sarah, we talked quite extensively not too long ago. And I think that that's what's on my heart right now, is that conversation that we were able to have. And really a lot of this, I think, is the mixes to the kitches, because that's a lot of the way our relationship has been. And I feel like we have walked so much of the journey and the different stages of the journey together, even though we have been in different parts of the world for most of that time. And the one thing that really impressed me after we had spoken a couple of weeks ago was that the desire that people have, I think particularly today in the way that the world is that we want to be heard, and not listened to, not tolerated. We're not asking for the silence. We're asking for people to hear what it is that we're actually saying, what is coming from our hearts. And when I think of both of you, I feel like we are heard, that we don't have to explain context, that we are cared for as people, and that when we express something, whether we are agreed with or not, we are respected. And I think that that is an amazing gift to offer someone, particularly in today's world. And so I thank you, David, for being a listener. And I also really want to affirm the fact that I think you have, over the years, become a person that shares in a vulnerable way. And I think that that's also a tremendous gift. And so on today, your birthday, I'd like to acknowledge that. I'd like to say that we see that quality in you, to thank you for it, and to wish you a happy birthday.
And that's kind of everything I wanted to say. But I want to make it personal too. Like for me, I've really felt, I've always felt seen, heard, and respected by you, David, and by both of you in different ways. And that is a tremendous gift. And it doesn't really matter. It didn't matter who I was at whatever point. You were always there. You were always there to hear. You were always there to see. I did want to tell you one thing, David. I'm not even sure you. Oh yeah, you would have known this. When David came to visit us in '98, I think it was. Is that right? '98.
Yeah, I think first time down. Yeah.
Way back there.
Yeah.
He had come just to spend a few days with us and our campus, and it was he was coming the day before our first day of training. And the thing about our campus is that most of our people really didn't know anybody except our campus. They really, except for the people that came from the States or from Europe, our people really didn't know anybody except us. And we wanted it to be a surprise for those who did know David. And so we brought him to our house, and we had a few people staying with us. And so rather than, blow the whole thing, I introduced David, not as David Kitch, but as David, David from the Covenant Players who's come to visit us. And as soon as I said that, our people said, David Kitch? They knew you. I don't know how they knew you. We didn't talk about you. Your reputation, whatever it was, preceded you. You were known, David. I don't know how. But
it's that photo on the post office.
I feel that you have made much more of an impact on many more people than you realize. And I really just want to affirm the fact that you continue to reach and grow to be more and more like Jesus every day. And that's a tremendous thing. And I hope that you have many, many more days to keep reaching for him. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, this is like a Pentecostal prayer meeting. I'm running out of tissues. She bumped in earlier, so I guess it's the cow's eye now that we're out of the toilet.
Well,
hey, everybody.
Hi, darling David. And Sarah.
Happy birthday.
It's just, I have to agree with everybody. It's just absolutely astounding to see all of these faces together. It really is. And I just give glory to God that we met along the journey and we're still connected. It is such a huge blessing. It's overwhelming. So, David Kitch. When David joined the Covenant Players, it was the training that I was about to run off to Europe and just stay there forever. So
it's true.
I barely remembered him actually, because he was a new recruit and I had Europe on my mind. And off I went. That ripples of David flew everywhere around the Covenant Player world. And he was definitely a bright and shining star in the CP firmament at that time. And then I heard he was going to marry this powerhouse dynamo of joy and love and energy, Sarah. And I thought, wow, he must be something. And one of my first memories really of you, David, was even before we really got to know each other. It was when Gail and I and Jeannie and Donna, when we were in the Echo and Grow office, and it was when we had that terrible automobile accident, which was such a tragedy for Covenant Players in Cameroons. And I'll never forget when you and Sarah called us and just offered, your love and compassion, and it meant so much. And then I came back to America, and I really got to know you. And I just want to say, David, you've always been such a true friend to me. I, like so many people, have wonderful memories of being in your home with Sarah and just talking and sharing our hearts and souls and laughing. You're a friend, you're a peer, you're a mentor. You just supported me. You've never stopped. I know you always pray for me. And I love you. And I'm going to cry because it's just amazing that we can all be like this. And I wish you a very, very, very happy birthday. And I'm so proud of the life that you and Sarah have and how you continue to serve and minister and are true to your call from the Lord Jesus. And I just pray God's blessings on you.
And now the famous Cart Bowser.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'm glad that we can all have our little faces in this lovely mosaic as we shelter and I was about to complain that we all get together and we're on video and none of us has been able to get a haircut in over a month. But then I thought that might be insensitive. But no. Anyway, what I really wanted to say is, is thinking back and I mean, there's millions of things we could talk about, but I think one thing for me that was very personal to me is when Pam and I went over to Europe in 2003, taking on a new responsibility as the ECHO supervisors, a daunting task by any stretch. And it was bitterly cold, January, but our reception was very warm. And you guys did so much to have things ready, to organize it, to show us places around town and nearby, and to really kind of, in the short time that we had, to acclimate us and to orient us to the new task at hand. And I will always be grateful for the foundation of work before us that you put in there, the two of you, and the grace in the transition. And having been in the position of leaving an office, your head is in a million different places at once. You're thinking about what you're leaving behind. Did you do everything, and what did you forget? And then you're also thinking about what you're going to next, and you're in that middle ground. And you guys had so much grace in turning things over to us, and I will always be grateful to you in providing that positive springboard for a challenging but very rewarding time for us. So God bless you and happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Hugs and
blessings.
kisses.
Absolutely. Well, Pammy actually for almost 36 hours was my first training unit leader in Covenant Players, if you may recall. And yes, your brain was definitely in Europe. But I went from you to Sue Haraldson, and so shell shock to shell shock. It was just the same thing.
But I think Wick and Pam wanted to be able to kind of answer. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, they're back, and I've unmuted them. Please, Pam and Wicks.
Your question again, Sky, please.
The gift of time. What would you be willing to give to God in our beloved brother's name, of David's name?
Well, we have because of David and the introduction to a whole new ministry that we were not familiar with and its effect upon us, we would give the Lord thanks for introducing us to Covenant Players and for all the fullness of the heart that we received in our years of joy in working with David and all the Covenant Players. We would give to God credit on David's behalf as the beginning of the Covenant Player relationship. Our hearts are bigger, deeper, fonder of those we come to know in Christ than we ever would have been without having had that introduction. Thank you, Lord.
And a deeper faith.
And a deeper faith.
Pam and Wicks, as
you.
a people of a certain age, and Sarah Mackenzie Floyd as a person of a different age, as all good programs, they have to be sponsored. So consequently, there's a film that I'm a process of, and I happen to know a guy, and he actually said, let's see if hopefully I can do this old school.
If I could just pop in for a moment, because you need to know that when I sing, birds fall out of the sky dead. No, I'm kidding, but I'm not that good at singing. But David, you are so loved from so far across the world that I just couldn't resist singing to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you.
So as all good, as the Galloping Gourmet is now wish David Kitch happy birthday. And who's next? Okay, Joe and Nance Friedman, tag, you're it.
Yay! Well, first of all, please forgive us for being late because we're of a certain age. We're of a certain age too.
I don't do time zones so well anymore.
Anyway, we thought we were actually much later, but anyway, we're so grateful for you. I wanted to share actually two memories of David. And David, there's so many memories. We've shared so many moments of our lives. It's like almost impossible to kind of condense. I would say one of my earliest memories is when we first were doing our 3-act tour, and you and Mitch Ellis and Jan Nichols at the time were doing Ohio and Indiana. And we frequently had the Mitch and Kitch team helping 3-act while I was going and running your unit. But I remember one time we were all in the maxi van driving through the snow somewhere in Ohio. And being snowy and icy on our way to a play date, all of a sudden the van started, you were driving, and all of a sudden the van started to fishtail. And I get nervous in cars anyway. But as the van started going back and forth, this big maxi van across the icy highway in Ohio, and you just said, "It's okay, God's got it." And everybody was just whispering. Everybody in the van was just whispering, "Jesus, Jesus." And stabilized, and we drove straight on to the play date. And your calm in that moment really impressed me. You may have been panicked as well, but you weren't showing any panic. The other memory I wanted to share was when you were in charge of a summer training and the discipleship classes, and you were asking all of the people who were part of your team. There was a team that we're working with together. And you said, "I don't want you guys," you said, "we're going to come to different places in the day, and you're going to memorize and speak over everyone in the class a scripture. I don't want you to read it. I want you to speak it over people." And the power of that has never left me. And your leadership, your understanding of the power of the spoken word has been an eternal blessing, not just to me, but to so many. And I would say, I bless you this day. I bless you with joy, and I bless you with an enduring trust that God is using you for much more than you could ever contemplate or imagine.
I'm supposed to follow that, but I will astonishingly be brief.
I'm empathetic.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, this is, I was thinking this is, kind of almost cruel to, subject you to this long of a thing, but are you recording it, Sky, so they can go back over it later another time?
Absolutely, and we're only halfway through. Get the tissues out, baby. Get the tissues out.
So I'm praying for you, David, about that. But there's so many memories we have. I'm so grateful just for you being a friend and being a brother. You've always been able to challenge me without savaging me. I remember one thing you said to me that I've never forgotten, and it's often convicted me over and over again, as well as helped me. And we were talking about, you know, as one does in the summer, about how exhausted we all are and how tired we all are and how much we're looking forward to retreat where we won't get any sleep. And it was kind of a throwaway for you, but you said, well, you know, why should I save up my strength to go to bed early? And I've never forgotten that. I'm not one of those people that's in danger of overworking himself. There are some, I married one who could well run herself into the ground with overwork, but I'm not really one of those people. But I've often been spurred by that and think, yeah, wait a minute, what am I fighting for the strength to, you know, save up my strength to go to bed early? So you know, I'm just so glad to be part of this and to see everybody's face there. You guys are amazing. Yeah. We're all rounder somehow than I remember, but other than that, you're just like yourselves.
Nance?
Yeah, I said what I needed to say.
That's it?
Wasn't that enough?
The next on the list, who have I got? Donna Ingram.
Donsky.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
It's fun to hear. Good to see you. Happy birthday, David. And it was so fun to hear you say that, because that line went through my mind too. And I remember when you and Sarah were assigned to tour together, and I thought, I wonder how long it's going to be until they're engaged. And so it was so it was great when that happened, because I truly felt as though it was ordained. And I remember you and Sarah and Rebecca spending a Thanksgiving with us in St. Louis, and that was a blessed, blessed time. And then the thing that I cherish so much is that relationship did not end there. It kind of transitioned, because when I went to Eden and you went to Claremont, academic dean of Eden at that time, Deb Krause, who's now the president-elect, was on the accreditation board, or did the certification, recertification for Claremont. And so she went out there and you talked to her, and I called Deb about 2 weeks later when she came back, and she said, oh, do you know who I met in California? And she said, David Kitch. And apparently you had brought up to her, because you knew I went to Eden, that I had gone there. And she said, I know Dawn. And it was just one of those beautiful serendipitous moments that helped me know that the arc of God continues, that God's love does not stop out and play. God's purposes and God's love continue no matter what. And it's just one of those blessed serendipitous moments that I treasure very much. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. My husband's going to talk now.
There were a couple of things I wanted to say, David. And first off, happy birthday, young. But one thing that I was thinking about memories, and this one goes back way, way back to one memory summer that I still do treasure and still do enjoy. And that was when you performed Heineke in the second. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Did I get that right? Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
With the being able to be a part of that, it was very special, and still play the theme sometimes. I will still play that. So, if you're in need, there's Sky. We've got some tissues. So
I've got it right here for you.
Got my back,
the
brother.
other-
Got my back.
The other thing is just with the continuation of ministry, seeing that with you, with somebody else I know very well, and with many others here, Sarah, Teresa, it's been a blessing and an acknowledgement, Anita, and
all in different ways.
All in different ways, different things that we've gone through, but we are united in that, and so that's a continuous blessing for me. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
To answer Joe's question earlier, yes, this is being recorded. So you are now, by virtue of me not asking, because I didn't think about it, giving me permission to put this someplace that we can all watch it later. Option 2, you can sue me. I'll give you a coffee cup. I don't know, whatever I got left. Also, we've got a room for 100. We've got room for 100. So please stay as long as you want. Leave if you have to. Go to work if you have to, wherever you are in the world. But stay as long as you want. And Sarah, I do know, Sarah Floyd, is in the medical industry. And she has stated that she might have to step out. I'm trying to unmute you, dear. I cannot. Oh, and we're dueling thumbs here. So Sarah, I know you opened this in prayer, and I'm kind of jumping the line here, but if you do need to check out, you bless me with wanting to host. Actually, I'm the juggling cats that are flaming with chainsaws is my day, because we are actually launching my daughter doing a podcast at Tea at 3 with Graham Kerr. So a 26-year-old and an 86-year-old are doing a live broadcast right now, and I'm here. So this is how important you are to me. But Sarah, how can you say what you want to say before you have to go? I'm gonna have you jump in if that's okay, Sarah.
Sure. I've got a little more time, so I'm just enjoying seeing so many familiar faces and hearing all your stories that were probably a little before my time. God Mom and God Pop, you guys have been such an important part of my life. I showed that picture earlier, God Pop, of when you were teaching me how to fence.
Ooh, bring it back. Bring it back. I missed it.
Yes. It's kind of hard to see, but yep. There's me and David. He's teaching me how to I think the coolest part of all of this is how our relationship has developed over the years and how close we still are. And just the opportunity that we've had recently to do some of that Enneagram work and getting to know you as an adult, not just a small little CP kid. But you guys have truly blessed me, and I'm so thankful that you are my godparents. And I hope that you have a wonderful day and that this surprise is everything that it could be.
Overwhelming would work.
As it should be, as time is irrelevant in God's eyes. So I saw somebody, Grant, just showed up, but I believe
Grant Nelson.
Okay, we're just acknowledging your existence, and we'll get to you in a minute. And we're going down the checklist here. I jumped in front of Carly.
Carly,
is up now. Let me a little 9 boxes in the upper right hand corner. You can do a gallery view for those that are new to the Zoom environment. So if you're wanting to just see the person speaking, if you hit gallery view, it changes from the person speaking going big, or the speaker view is just the person talking, or whatever that means. Go forth and play. And who's speaking? Carol Yvonne.
I'm speaking. So I brought a hand up. I brought a hand up. This was given to me
I'm going to have a hard time getting through this. This was given to me, my very first mission, by a host, and it's my quote book, and it is worn out. It is got pages falling out of it, and I was looking through it because Teresa, what you said is kind of exactly what I was going to say. Supported, because David and Sarah both, the fact that you see us. And you saw us sometimes when we just didn't feel seen and we didn't feel important. I know Carrie and I would talk about this a lot because we just kind of hit a different spectrum, which is a lovely spectrum, but it's not always seen. And so I was reading through my quote book, and I came across 2 pages of David Kitch quotes that came up in classes. And it made me laugh so hard. And I laugh because of the things that I wrote down that you said a lot of times were sarcasm. It's titled Sarcasm. And but the things that you said that still impact my life and that I hold on to in times, well, I told you I saw this on my birthday, but being seen by you has fed my need to see other people. And in that way, that healing happens and gets passed on and moved on, and the fruit that's born keeps falling to the ground, making more trees that bear more fruit. And I'm so thankful for you and Sarah and your presence in my life, and actually so many of these faces that I see right now. And so happy birthday, and I'm going to stop because I'm not going to be able to talk anymore.
I still to this day remember the quote from Marcia saying, I have to look up, and if you laugh or cry, the option is to laugh because it doesn't run your mascara. I believe there's a more.
Wait, I'm smart enough. I need you to know I'm smart enough not to wear mascara to this. No mascara.
No mas? I don't speak Spanish. What? Por favor. I apologize for my bad Tagalog. Who's up next? Let's see.
Melissa Mork, I think.
Melissa.
Yeah.
The Mork.
Me.
Oh.
Hi.
Yes. Hello.
I'm just gonna say it's Mama Llama Ding Dong for now.
Perfect.
David, I'm also a fan. My apologies though, because Guy told me this was a roast, not an affirmation.
Oh no!
Okay, so here's the deal. When
That's
I
on
found
you.
out,
This is all on you. This is not me.
not about this guy. All right. When I found out I was being roped into saying something to you, David, I went online and I Googled David Kitch, and aside from your Hollywood Fringe photo, I just saw a bunch of obituaries. So I don't read too much into it. I think you should be affirmed because the rest of the guys didn't make it. Anyway, yep. When I think about memories of you, I had just started out in Covenant Players. It was during CPCC and showcasing one night. We had seen a fantastic, I don't know what play it was or who even was on stage, but there was a fantastic stage kiss that had happened. And then during transition, we were moving from the front of the hall to the back. A bunch of us smokers went out to the breezeway and we were all talking about stage kisses. And David Kitch comes walking out just at that moment and heard the words stage kiss and planted one on me like a against the brick wall, hands in the hair kind of stage kiss. Now, we've already acknowledged that David Kitch was the celebrity of Covenant Players CPCC. And so for months, this was my bragging rights. I was like, anyone who would listen, David Kitch kissed me. And I mean, I have to admit, gas station attendants in Indiana didn't really care because they didn't know who David Kitch was. But back then, if there had been Google and they had looked you up, they would have just seen a bunch of obituaries.
Good.
Happy birthday, David. I love you.
Wow. Mr. Weinstein has just left the building.
If you're going to Google a Kitch that I'm related to, you have to Google my sister and my brother, both of whom are very Googleable. And you would probably prefer my sister, the intensely active feminist. But yes, no, you Google me, you get dead people.
The subpoena will be delivered in the mail.
I do confess to having no memory of that incident, but I cannot deny that it probably happened.
I don't remember it. No offense taken. Really.
Thank you, Senator. I do not recall. And over to Sue Blau.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh my gosh.
There she is.
I really do appreciate your grief work, and I really have found it very valuable, truly. And I regret we haven't had the opportunity at some point to talk about it, since it's our line of country now these days. So anyway.
I would just like to say to everybody that I wish Scott was here. He would have loved this.
Amen.
In spirit.
Amen.
Okay, so Melissa brought up kisses, and I think, David, we have great memories of the Meldemere series, and you taught me physical comedy like everybody else. It was wonderful. All the ups and downs that we have shared together. I wouldn't change any of it. To have the privilege of continuing to work at our friendship and our spiritual sharing of recent times that has just deepened what we've already had, which is precious. So thanks a lot. Thanks for hanging in there with me. You know what you mean to me. So, and it's great to see all these faces here. I do have to bow out right now. So with Sky's question about what we would give God or pray for you, my prayer is for ever deeper freedom and knowing your Creator. Bless you. Bye, everybody.
Sue, I was introduced to a concept at the Grand Rapids Worship and Arts Worship Symposium, that if you're going to fear anything, fear God, because He loves you. Tom and Sherry Smith are in the house.
What? You'll do it, Sherry.
Oh,
okay.
You can hear us now? Hi. We just want to sing a song to you, David. This is our birthday song. It isn't very long.
Much love to you. It's wonderful to see all of these people.
Oh, I know.
I mean, this thing, I should have discovered it earlier. But I just want to thank David and Sarah for hospitality and friendship. And we do see each other periodically, so I'll give it to Sherry.
David, I just want to say happy birthday to you. And I want to say that I don't think I ever told you this, but when we worked together in the office, many times I had to call you to ask you a question, but instead of calling, I would get up and walk down the hallway to see you because you were my normalcy. I mean, it was so good being in there. Sounds weird that you were normal, right?
Yes, I know, scary thought. It tells you something about the environment we were in, doesn't it?
Think about the alternative.
But I do want to tell you now that it meant the world to me to be able to just go to your office for a while and talk with you. It was very, very important. Thank you.
Yay.
It was important to me too in that
My
season.
love Fane.
Okay.
Oh, we're moving on. What?
Yeah, we're good.
Atlanta.
Oh, okay, Tom, before I mute you, can you just lean into the camera and say, "Get off my lawn"? I just need to hear it.
What?
You don't just say it.
Why?
I want to hear you say it.
Get off my lawn.
Ah, perfect. You're hired. I just cast an old guy. So now.
Oh.
Sorry, that was probably rude, but I'm the editor, so I'll take it out of the one that sees the light of day. And we have the Wismai.
Those trees down there.
I know, my God.
I was wondering what you would call us, Sky.
Yeah.
Well.
Never twice the same thing, huh?
My
good timing, Joe. Mm-hmm.
My baton passing is that I met Allison first. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
Well, first of all, before we forget, we just really need to,
Yes,
toast you.
We have to toast you.
Oh, sorry, our glasses need to be more visible here.
I don't know how this works.
And so here, happy birthday, David.
Indeed.
I'm surprised you don't have a glass of wine yourself.
No, we've got.
I was ambushed by this event, and my hostess has provided me.
Sarah, hello.
Yes, I was brought here under the auspices of, interrupted from working on Shock of Shocks, getting material posted or ready for and posted for my classwork tomorrow. That Sarah was having another problem with her computer and needed me, and I was perhaps a little less than internally gracious at being interrupted.
Yay!
And,
There we go.
So this is
Cheers.
Oh, this is a very nice Barbera.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, this is not a Rockwell wine, but we're waiting for you to come up again. But it's been interesting just seeing everybody, and I think that the deck, what the deck symbolizes is this community that keeps going to that keeps being in community with each other, and this community that goes on. And whatever it was that inspired you to build that deck in the beginning, I don't know the seed of that. That'll be another visit when you when we see you. But I love this moment that we have together, that we have our virtual deck to celebrate a life, because that deck has not only had many conversations, but it's celebrated so many milestones through the years. And Sarah Floyd, I am so thankful that you organized this and that we are so blessed by this. Another thing that I wanted to say was, recently it's been very much on our hearts about artists and how they're being impacted by this coronavirus. And I just was thinking of this society that doesn't value artists. And I was thinking of all these play dates that all of us have had that impacted lives and souls. And, the big world doesn't see that. And, it's just I was even remembering our play date with you and Liz on that military base in Germany, being part of that reintegration program. And I'm so grateful for these unique opportunities that we've all had, and that some of us have continued on in these different ways. Some of you are more in the classic ministry, and others are in this whatever we call it, this para world. But anyway, I celebrate that, as many people have said it already in different ways, but that we are so blessed to continue in our walk, in our journey together. It's just astounding to me. Anyway, over to you.
I was just reflecting on the fact that the two of us are very fortunate, just in terms of, our our walk together with the two of you, because in spite of the fact that, you think, okay, it's just down the I-5, it's just down the 101, and there's lots of wineries and everything like that. But you have to make that step to actually get there, and you do. I think that's an important thing, is that even though we have this wonderful, thanks to technology, community that we can connect together, and we have these wonderful times of sharing, we feel particularly blessed that even as we've made so many transitions and we've spent a lot of time together on different continents and in different places and basements and these places near train stations in Paris and
couscous restaurants,
and on New Year's Eve with nobody else there. And that continued even as we came back to Europe. We're in the same state. We're just a few hours away, and we make that effort, and we continue to do that. And that physical face to face is a big deal. It really is, and we cherish that. So even though we are saddened that you're not going to be able to hop the pond this summer, we trust that that's not going to keep us away. And so we talked about that last time we saw that, and we figured out, okay, when's the next time we're going to do that? But the fact that we plan for that, and the fact that we plan to make that connection, I think that's the big part of the community that we treasure with you guys in particular. So, bon anniversaire, mon ami.
And so many lobsters have been sacrificed.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that was going to be for Sarah's roast.
That's Sarah's, yeah.
Oh. The New Year's baby that has claws.
Did that even Paris thing to you too?
Go, Joe. Go, Joe.
We had a New Year's Eve and Christmas with David and Sarah when we were in Paris. And we went to Paris New Year's Eve, and there was nothing.
Yeah.
And we ended up, finding something at some really, I don't know, it was a dump. Went to some little itty bitty motel, and David and Sarah made the best of it, and we were, but they were happy.
The meal was very good. It
was.
Yes,
it was.
It was in the Latin Quarter.
Yeah.
But the hotel was right by the airport.
Chris knows Eddie Murphy said, I've had good meals and bad meals, but with Jerry Seinfeld, everything is a wonderful meal. It's with the right people. I believe we've got the cook eye. Speaking of food.
Hi.
Hey, neighbors.
Hello.
Yeah, that's right.
Good to see everybody. So much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well,
Do you want me to?
so I knew this was coming up, and then I got out of the loop. And then I didn't know we were going to have these times of talking. And then Amy let me know. I said, oh, I could say that David was the first one to kill me on stage. I thought about it. Nah, it was Nels. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. At least it was one of my proteges.
There you go.
There. Yeah.
But I am glad, that you couldn't be on multiple continents at the same time. So I could do a Aristide de Sauvage in Europe while you are happily over there in the States. So I appreciate you not multitasking too much.
I was thinking about this, how I feel like we've had some different stages in knowing you. So first it was in Covenant Players and all that time. And then when we left, we suddenly became like host home to you a few times. And there was a time, David, when you came to New England. It was our first house in Massachusetts. And there were problems with a unit, surprise, surprise. And so you had to come and stay for a week and take, I don't even know what the problem was, but we went out and we had excellent seafood. Remember that? And,
Yes.
but the other thing is now, I work in the Episcopal Church and you all work in the Episcopal Church. And there's also, you know, David talked about his sister, Anne. And I remember the first time Sarah said to me, when I was started in the Episcopal Church, she's like, oh, you should know David's sister. And I was like, no, never heard of her. And I hadn't realized at that time, I'd seen her books, but I had never really connected the name. And then I had forgotten about that. And so then when I met Anne at a conference, we started like meeting at these conferences. And I think it was a couple of conferences. And then we were sitting there talking and I mentioned Covenant Players and she goes, oh, you must know my brother, David. And I was like, what? Yeah. So anyway, so now I know Anne pretty well and we get to see each other. So anyway, it's just been, and because we're now on the West Coast, that has been very fun to get to see you now on the West Coast. So I'm just going to, for memories, this is our last bit of honey. And Sarah and Sue, Sue had to leave, but yes, you remember the honey.
Yeah, remember the honey. I'm amazed you have any left. Ours has been gone a while.
We're very
frugal.
Yeah, just try to stretch it because it's so good. But anyway, it's been so much fun to get to be on this side of the continent and get to see you more often.
If there is a gift of time that you would dedicate to God, I mean, give to God, but dedicate to David, what might that be? Come back to us if I catch on the moment. But I maybe keep asking that, so those coming up, warning.
I was thinking about this actually a little bit, and I think that a gift I would like to give to you both is just to say that the Episcopal Church is really lucky and fortunate for your leadership and what you have brought to your ministries and to your diocese. And I'm just really happy that we have these chances to work together and collaborate in some things. So yeah.
Amy, Cook, about a month ago, I knew I wasn't Presbyterian, but after this last 2 months, David said I could come over to the dark side real quick. And I'm ready to breathe into that mask.
Okay. Okay.
The other.
All right. That's it. Thank you. And happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. Party on.
I can't unmute the other Amy. You have to unmute yourself. You are there live.
Amy! Sorry, there are too many for one screen for me.
She's got her beautiful daughter behind her. Is that your daughter? Oh, Amy.
This is our niece, Shay. She's lived with us for about 4 years now. So I consider her my daughter. I want to to my summer training parents. Miss you guys. I wish we could have a garage party and eat blue corn chips and hummus and read Shakespeare and all of that good stuff.
You hear that, Carly girl? Come on, come on. We need a garage party now. Come on.
Oh, yeah. I hope
we still have blue corn chips and hummus in the house.
Shannon,
right.
you know, you're here.
Oh my gosh, all these people.
I wish we had more performance times together, but I know I'm glad I had so much time to spend with you during training and everything, and hope it's a great year for you. I don't have a lot to say, but just wanted to say I love you and wish you all the best, lots of love.
Love you too, Amy, very much.
In our heart, girl, in our heart.
If I weren't dyslexic, I'd be dangerous. Who's
We've got
Caleb?
Australia down there.
Baker.
Caleb, there we go. Caleb Bakers. Yep, you got her. Yep.
Baker, you're up.
We're here. Hi, guys. We love you so much.
Oh, you're crazy.
Me? Oh, okay, me. Boy, this is so many memories going through our minds as we look at all these screens. First of all, he's doing his best, but he's not quite the same dance partner, David. So,
honey, I wouldn't be anymore either. You know, back, leg, cancer. I mean, you know, it's. But I'd sell it, honey. I'd sell it.
I know you would. I know you would. I was thinking about there are people that we've met in our life that I think everyone in the world needs to meet, and you are definitely one of those. Everyone needs to know you. You are amazing and impacting, and even my kids recognized that 3 years ago, and we were down and one was still in the belly, but we missed you. But they got to meet Sarah, and my kids were amazed and thought, she's a ball of energy, Mom. And then I said, oh, but you haven't met David either. And they go, oh my, he must be amazing. And we were actually hoping on having a trip this summer. So if that's able to happen, you'll be able to meet not just the two that you missed, but the other who's no longer in the belly. So,
Yes.
And she's a spitball too. So she would.
The deck is ready for you, babe.
But mostly, I'm just. You've imprinted our lives in ways that cannot be described. I think that my opportunity to be creative in ministry currently was inspired by knowing both of you. And that extends then your reach. And truly what I would give is I would want everyone to be able to know the greatness of the Kitches and of you, David Kitch.
I want to say that it's really freaking cool that I can see all of y'all at the same time. and the
yeah, and that you're not in such an altered state you don't recognize anybody.
and you all represent a time in my life before I had children, before I understood the art of parenting. And that's kind of a nice memory as well. So I appreciate that. So my dad used to say, and I quote him a lot, saying, if everybody agrees with what you're doing, you're probably doing something wrong. And I see that as, you know, I think that came from a man who was very confident in who he was. My dad was always somebody who was clever and apt enough to manage his way around conversations and in situations. And so, you know, I think from his perspective, he was willing to stand in the face of contradiction or stand in the face of things that wouldn't go his way in order to see what he thought was right. And for 18 years, I lived my life under his parenting and under my mom's parenting, and then these last 22 years of my life, I've lived under my wife, and she's been the one to kind of make sure that I've kept the straight and narrow and doing my thing. But there was this small moment in time between when I left my parents and when I met Carrie Ann, that the Kitches were responsible for kind of guiding me along the decision-making process and helping me understand what it meant to become an adult in the ambience of Covenant Players and all that was, as I sort of found my way. And I was among the many troops that stayed on the Kitch couch and got to know the ways of the Jedi from the Master. And so I think in many ways, we've been watching a lot of Star Wars in quarantine. You have to forgive me. But I think in many ways, I mean, sure, there's probably specific things, but let's be honest, I'm 43 and my memory is really foggy. But I think that just that area, that time of my life, that era where I lived on the Kitch couch, and I was getting to know what it meant to be a Covenant player, what it meant to be a man, what it meant to be an adult, what it meant to be a soon-to-be husband as I grew closer to Carrie Ann during those times. You had a big hand in helping me set a foundation. The important people that did that, my father and David Kitch, helping me understand what it means to be a man of God. Eventually, I, like you, David, was a great performer, and I've given that up. I retired on top. But I just you've meant a lot to my formidable beginnings, and I'm grateful for that. So happy birthday, big guy.
Happy birthday. We love you.
Blessing on you both. Thank you so much.
I remember standing at the back of the Sepulveda Theater, and one of the RAF plays hit, and I, in my affirmation, recognized that I was there. And the people that portrayed the people that I knew as real people, the Hillthrows and Tom, all the character names that Chuck had created were real people to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you are all real people, and I am here. Happy to introduce Liz Lynn as our next guest.
Unmute yourself.
Ow. Oh, there. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Happy birthday. I'm dealing with some dog issues right now, so apologies. There are issues that I will not.
I'm stunned. I'm shocked. I'm amazed.
Yeah, there are issues I won't share with you because they're a little disgusting. But anyway, sorry. First off, I'm glad the computer thing worked, Sarah. I'm happy to hear that. My computer.
Yeah, a point should probably be made that the youngest member of the constituency is the one who made this work.
And everybody's saying some very serious things, and that's nice.
But you're gonna be Liz, and you're gonna provide the comic relief. I'm confident.
Well, I'm not in the headspace for serious, so apologies. But I don't even know if you'll remember this, but when we first started working at Echo, we'd had a little evening party thing, just, for Echo staff, kind of a get to know you thing. And David was upstairs working, so we drank the wine. And we were eating a whole bunch of different snacks and stuff like this. And a whole bunch of nuts, everything like that. David walks in the room, he goes, "Great. Here I am, 2 bottles of wine and my nuts are gone." And I was like, this guy's okay. I was like, we'll be fine. Sarah, do you remember that? You were,
I believe he said it.
What?
I believe he said it.
Totally said it. It's one of my earliest memories of David. I was like, oh, we're going to be okay. But then after that, we had many a party, many a moment in different places. I think pretty much everybody has lived on your couch at some point or another. It's kind of the thing to do. Actually, the old couch.
Hands up. All that have slept on the couch. Hands up.
The old couch, the new couch,
There's so many. Oh, look at that. There's Hannah.
We could narrow the field, but get down to the mud wrestling party.
Yes, but I wasn't at that party, but yes, I've heard many
we
things.
own the house to so many people, like Grant and Allison and Big.
Yes. Some of you lived here almost as long as we did.
True. But obviously, you've been in each other's lives a long time now, and I appreciate both of you very much. So happy birthday, David. And I hope that this surprise has been a true blessing. And you know what I pray for you is that you remember just how many people hold you and pray for you, and how many people, I mean, look how many people are on here right now. I'm on my iPhone, so I can only see 4 at a time, but I'm assuming there's more by a lot. But anyway, that you will always remember that even when things aren't working out as you planned, that you'll look back on these times. You can play the recording that Sky is going to apparently put somewhere that we'll all find it on the cloud. But you can remember these moments, because that's what makes life special and precious, and just to remember that you were loved. So happy birthday. That's it. Yeah. I'm gonna have to jump off very soon, like almost now.
Dog issues.
I'm sure
dog
there's
issues.
a
dog or 3 in your future.
Well, I have some that are up for adoption. Seriously? Anybody? At least my dog's not like Jan and Jim's, and it hasn't discovered how to open the refrigerator yet. So I think we're doing good.
Okay, Bob, you get to follow that.
I don't know if I should be funny or meaningful.
Hello.
Don't talk to me, Sky.
Funny, Bob.
I think I first want to say that David Kitch, you are one of my very, very best friends. We have been through more together than almost anyone around. You have helped me through my illness with everybody's favorite dying guy. You have been there to not judge me, but to love me. And though you don't show it in your emotional life, I know that in your heart that you love me. And that is the greatest gift we can give anyone. So I want to thank you for loving me for the past 40 odd years. And I want to say that it's been very important in my life. I also want to say that you are older than I am.
Now, if I could only get wiser.
I have more funny stories about David than I can count. And I have more embarrassing stories about David than I can count. Not to mention Sarah.
Just remember, this is actually a detente situation.
I know. And I have to be quick. I'm not going to go through all of them or any of them, really. I just want, if anyone would like to contact me after this meeting, please feel free to Skype me or email me, and I'll tell you lots of good stories about David and Sarah, if you want. All right. Thanks, David. Blessings on you on your birthday.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, Bob,
Love you.
I'm glad you were so funny. Oh, that was awesome. Hey, Sarah Floyd. I'm muting Sarah Floyd. Unmute. I'm hitting the button. Sarah. Thank you. You were texting me. We're back channeling over here. We're sidebarring, whatever those rabbit trailing thing is. You had hoped that we're missing some people. It's very sad.
We haven't heard from Kristen and Peter, honey, or the Australian kitchen, or Shannon.
So
Sarah?
we're missing Liliana and Bev June, so I'm gonna reach out to them. But I know that Kristen Sprigg and Lynn Van Emmerich haven't been able to talk yet. So
Okay, I'm going to unmute them both, and we're going to watch that mud wrestling happen.
In fairness, I have to say neither Kristen nor Peter were involved in the mud wrestling incident.
That's true. No.
Yeah.
Well, I have one thing that I've just learned on
Wait
this
a minute.
call.
Wait a minute. Media guy, come on, tilt the head. You got headroom. Killing me here.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are you talking about?
What?
Oh, no. Is that better?
Oh,
I made myself a standing desk out of books, so that's why it's a little weird. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've learned one thing I never knew about David from this call. When I joined Covenant Players, when I first met David Kitch, I thought he was so mature, so wise, someone I looked up to. And now I learned that he's a year younger than me.
Sorry, somebody left Bob's mic open.
A week from now, I'm going to be 63, and I'm like, when am I going to get the wisdom that David Kitch has? But Kristen and I were talking. We didn't like put our names on the list because we were like, oh, what memory should we share? And like my memory, she could tell you, my memory's like gone, from early. But so I will mention a more recent memory when I got to perform with David and Jim in DC when they were, and I forget the circumstances, but it was like this convention of mayors or municipal local government officials or something who were in Washington for maybe you should unmute Jim to remind me what the play was that we performed.
Now you're unmuted.
Yeah, it was Call to Crusade, which is a 3-man singlet.
Yeah.
So one medieval guy introduces 2 others who argue sort of pro and con of let's go fight the infidels.
So at one time, my claim to fame on that play was I was the only male who'd done all 3 roles in public CP performance.
So, and
Not at the same time.
I was able to, it was an honor to participate in that with Jim and David, and I was able to contribute by providing the sword.
That's right. That's right.
We had Kristen smuggle it into the Hilton.
Yeah, that's right.
Get it in a big black bag.
Not a fencing sword. This is a broadsword. So
He was the least scary looking of all of us. The weapon in. Yeah.
So, but we just love you so much, David, and wish you a happy birthday. And Kristen, you want?
Well, I was just trying to remember. I guess one of my big memories on stage being, I forget, I can't remember what summer, but I got to do the Invisible one with you, and Nels was the director, and Jan Kuhn was on stage, and it was just,
I remember that.
I really felt like that character. It was such an honor. It was a really, anyway.
We also talked about our scrapbooks, which we don't have here to show, but maybe if you don't have these pictures, maybe I can make a copy and send them, because I got some pictures from showcasing when I was on the photography crew, and I wanted to get pictures of some of the photos that I had helped take, and it's of you and Peter Iverson in the Sergeant's Kingdom when you played Rudyard Kipling.
Yeah.
Have some really good photos of that.
Oh.
We'll take all photos.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
I like to see them before they show up, and my enemies use them against me.
Oh, right.
Or my friends, for that matter.
Hey,
So
Lynn.
great to see you. God bless you.
Lynn.
Oh, bless you.
Lynn.
I do remember very warmly the hospitality the Sprigs have showed several times, and Peter, you gave us a lovely tour of DC. I believe the Native American Museum had just opened.
Yes.
Yeah, and took us around, and that was lovely. And I also, at the risk of getting on thin ice here, I also have always been able to deeply appreciate that I can count among people I love and care for, people as divergent in their, say, political orientations as you and David Ingram, in the same, but that there's something bigger than that, and that the mutual respect, yeah, there he is. And I think particularly right now, it's on my mind because I just had a discussion with somebody about this a few days ago, and that specific example came to my mind, that it's possible, and I believe absolutely necessary, that we hold to that reality of respect in the Imago Dei, the B'Tselem Elohim, the created in the image of God, this idea of respect for one another, respect for the sacred and divine, respect for creation as a whole, that it's possible to achieve that. And it's possible to do that amongst people with very divergent views, because there's something more important than being right about this issue. And I deeply appreciate that in my life, I have had my relationship with you, Peter and Kristen, and also with you, Donna, David, and everybody here, which we haven't even gotten to the Aussies yet, who are blessedly free of some of this. But just the reality that I look at this screen, and not only are you all precious in my life and precious to me, you're precious to so many people, and that this is the reality of what the world is, I believe, and what will make the world become what it's meant to be. So anyway.
I'm
so sorry. I was just going to say, this is like, that was so eloquent, but I was going to say another prominent memory, and forgive me, is when I guess I played in, I forget what it was, but I always remember, like you and Peter Iverson and the others, that I was one of those saucy wenches. Anyway, I chose using the saucy wench. Anyway, I'm well beyond that now. God bless. Thanks.
No one will accuse typecasting there, honey. No one will accuse typecasting.
Peter set me up for an amazing lead line, and then you come out with saucy wenches? You can't write this stuff. No, my appreciation
saucy wenches. We'll go to Van Emmerich now. No.
And Peter, before you have to Sprig, my respect also in holding strong ideals loosely. You are my hero. And Lynn Van Emmerich.
Unmute. Unmute.
There she is.
Here you are. Yeah.
I'm getting there. I've Zoomed with other people and they tell me they can't hear me though. So I don't know how my mic is. Good? Yay.
I can hear you.
It's better than my pointy little head. So that
Speak
works.
into the carnation.
Right. Okay. You know, we've been in and out of each other's lives for a very, very long time. I think for me, it started with 6225 Reseda. And
yeah,
long time ago. And certainly Napa, one of the many occupants of the Kitch actress house, with a few actors thrown in. There's never enough time to share, I think, when we're together, the precious moments and the precious memories that we hold deep in our hearts, that have made us who we are, that have built the relationships that we are with each other. And my brain probably, like many here, has a few more Swiss cheese holes in it than it used to. And so I think I'll just speak in generalities. I was blessed almost a year ago to see you both together, sharing your very personal ministry with me and my loved ones and my family, and being a part of a special moment for me. But you've been in my life for such a very long time. You've been family in my life, I think, for probably longer than many other people who are related to me by blood. And that's the blessing of our life in Christ. That's the blessing of our humble beginnings as covenant players, and the blessing that we can share as we move on from that uniting experience in ministry, and have gone our divergent ways, still acknowledging the importance that we have. And I don't reach out often. I'm a hermit or a hobbit or something, but I treasure those moments when we're able to get together, and I treasure this in just looking at the faces and seeing the eyes and hearing the voices that have blessed me so very much through time. And David, you've been there through a lot for me and with me, and I would hope to say the same about my experience in your life, but I don't think that's true, in the way that you give with such graciousness and without a sense of self. And I've not yet grown to that level in my own life, but I certainly have many people to look to, whose examples in their walks give me hope as time goes by. And I do. I love you deeply. Happy birthday.
I love you too.
In 1977, Sarah Kitch came into my life as a college student in Hutchinson, Kansas, with Michael Kelly, Shelley Kelly, David Kitch. I'm sorry, David. Mike
Demian.
Mike Demian and Sarah stayed in my little tiny apartment in Hutchinson, Kansas.
On your
Lynn
floor.
Van Emmerich has lived in a house that we now still own as roommates. The Kitches hosted me in their living room for almost 8 years. And so the connections that we have in hospitality as a show don't tell. This is not a theory that we're living in. This is life.
Right.
Debbie Paulin?
We've lived a lot with each other, physically and otherwise. Shared bathrooms. You know.
Yep.
We love each other.
My toothbrush was the green one. I kept saying, don't use the green toothbrush.
Never did.
Debbie, is Debbie Paulin here with us? If not,
I don't see her. No.
Okay. Well, of all,
Okay. Shemansky's here.
I think
Shemansky's here a while.
the Han folk.
Oh.
The Han folk. Can you unmute yourself? Unmute thyself.
Down under.
Represent, baby.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi.
I am so.
Oi, oi, oi.
I have to say
It's killing us. It's killing us.
I know.
It's killing us to not be able to know we're gonna come. Like, oh.
Yeah. So it looks like postponed a year is what it looks like.
Yeah.
So none of you die. All right.
We're coming.
It only gives us more time to plan something extra special.
Great. Like you need more help. Yeah.
You may not have heard, but we ask of the gift of time, and as a birthday present, what would you dedicate to God in David, our brother's name? But now that I dropped that emotional landmine on you, be prolific.
Oh, it's just so good to see you guys. It's so you and I see. My God, Phil Chambers is on.
Bill and
Oh, my
Allison, that's
Lord.
right. That's right. Yes, Grant and Allie. Yay.
I see
Yay.
Shannon.
Yay.
Hey, we have both goddaughters on at the same moment.
That's right. Hannah and Sarah are there. It's so possible.
One of my very serious, before I die, is to try and get Sarah and Hannah in actually physically the same place at the same time as adults. Before they are both there for my funeral. I just am thinking about that.
Anyway, Lynn and Mark, it's over to you.
Sorry.
Oh, I wanted to share a very special memory. Just between David and the rest of us at St. Tom's Anglican Church in Cranebrook, which is just a couple of streets down the road from where we are right here. Very special time every morning. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Right, left, down. This is sit bone, everyone. Do you remember this, David? Yes. And shimmy.
I had to be taught that.
Knows about it. Okay, read it.
Well, I'm going to remember to remind my physiotherapist that I once could do all that.
You notice I skipped the touching the toes bit.
I can still do that now. I can
Wow.
still do that one.
Impressive.
Someone has to help me get up, but I can get down.
No, anyway, we just wanted to wish you a happy. Yeah, we just want to bless you with a happy birthday, and it's tomorrow for you, right?
Yeah. So it's today here. It's your birthday. Happy birthday.
We can actually say that today.
So far, you're having a great day.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm really glad to hear that.
Anyway, you're such a blessing. We'll keep it short because I know people in Australia here are technically supposed to be at work right now. This is my work right now. They think I'm at work. I haven't been for 5 minutes. But anyway, I'd like to leave you with some pearls of wisdom. I've found out that birthdays are really, really good for you, David. So keep having them. Because the more birthdays you live, right? So keep it up.
We are going to see you. We are going to see you. We are.
Mark, can you give Peter and Carrie a call and get his butt on this Zoom call, please? It's a local call for you.
Yes, maybe.
And I'm actually serious because you're next, and he's out of sequence, and I don't know what to do.
You don't want his butt
Phil and the Chambai people.
Very close. Hello.
How disgusting that you still look like you're both 20 years old. There's a rule against that.
Phil, not so much, but Allison, absolutely.
That's right. This face. No. This face.
No.
A lot of that is my wisdom in decision making, not hers. That's just the way we go with those sort of things. Lovely to see you guys. Look, I've actually got some notes that I'll read off here. Happy birthday, David. Okay, that's good. Happy birthday, David. It's great.
Phil, you haven't changed a bit. Oh my gosh.
No. Well, some things have changed. This is a new shirt.
Good. That's good. The old one was getting a little.
We're all appreciative. Yeah, it gets a bit whiffy. First of all, what a couple? Can you separate one from the other?
No.
Both are unique. No, but yes, they are. They are unique. It's not a yin and yang thing. But it's just a beautiful. I've got little memory tears coming on, which is great. So first memory, many people in the States on this call would not know who Ali and I are, but we were trainees of David and Sarah for, the number of years that they were here, and in touch after that, bits and pieces as well. And first memory for me, not Alison's first memory, she was
6 months later.
6 months later. I'd just finished my first mission, and Bob and Laurie Haggart had just left and moved on. They were big shoes to fill because I think Bob was size 13 feet. I'm not sure. Anyway, first memory of David and Sarah was entering CP Oz with David in a safari suit and white caftan, 1986, 87, 87. And that is just unbelievable, bold fashion statements ahead of their time, very Mugatu. But it was all this energy, all this gravitas that was going on, which was wonderful. And Sarah was like a whirlwind, and David was like a calming force. Yeah. Like the weatherman. It'd be like Sarah, Madonna, and David would go, heal. What the heck just happened? But I want to build on Mark and Lina's memory. On campus CPCC, we would do, for those people in the States, maybe you did it, maybe you didn't, I don't know, but you're down on the floor, you're doing your sits bones, and you're leaning this way and you're leaning that way, you're doing these exercises in the morning. And Grandmaster Kitch, Sensei Kitch would say things like, okay, sits bones and warm-ups, and you'd lean, and at some point there would always be, every day, stomach muscles, people. 80% of back injuries are caused by weak stomach muscles. Who had a personality that was pretty much a shrinking violet personality called Matthew Lum, and he would kind of comment that was like, 80% of all toenail injuries are caused by tight shoes, or 80% injuries are caused by drinking your coffee with a cracked cup. And then there's this very Kiwi guy called David Morrison one morning who just said, did you know 80% of all black injuries are caused by idiots black eyes? 80% of all black eyes are caused by idiots who don't know when to shut up. And I thought, oh, that was priceless. That was priceless. On the road, on mission, I think I'm the only person I know to have ever slept with David. In the States, things may be but in Malaysia, we were on mission, and that was a little bit intimidating for a young 20-year-old guy going, this is the boss, man. Like, I'm sleeping with the boss. This is wrong on so many levels. But, it worked out. And David saying, oh, I hate being flabby. Don't you hate being flabby? Yes, I hate being flabby, boss. I really do. But love that, because you were absolutely encouraging, spending time with the unit leaders, but not dismissing, the young unit members as well. We were still worthy of your time, which was just really, really special. And one more bit here. So thanks for that. And I remember Chuck's plays, our World War I pilot plays. And I remember we were all in one of those together. I was some poor pilot who got killed off in the first 3 minutes, but I was still there. That's what she said. You're still peachy. And Alison was at the sound desk and gave some affirmation about something, and I could hear David, 3 or 4 people over to the right saying, I like that girl. I really like that girl. She's got her head switched on. She's smart and she's classy. I really like her. And I was thinking I might do something about that, David. It's been a few years. But some of those things stick with us. And particularly, I just want to, just onto Jesus and mission. Let's get to the backbone of what, most of us are about, which I hope. It's just the vision and the passion and the leadership. This is a David and a Sarah thing, but, target it one way, take what works for either and both of you. But just that vision and the passion and the leadership that, sets us all onto our own mission. We're young people coming from lots of different places, but there was such a focused structure and a framework, simple, biblical, honest, real. And we just, we're beneficiaries of that, and still are. It's just wonderful. We just had Ali and I co-run an apologetics group in our town at the moment. We just had, I don't know if anyone knows him, but we just had an interview with a chap from the States over the weekend called Gary DeMar, and he's a wonderful apologist, and it's just those sort of things that just carry on, that move on. I think someone said, you drop a rock into a pond and the ripples keep going. So, you're both of you, and David, you're a big rock.
Yeah, well, that's been said. Yeah, not always as generously as you're saying it, but I appreciate it. No, it's so great to see you. And Ali, I apologize for drawing this gentleman's attention to you at that time. Your life might have worked out, but
let's see. So far, David, you have kissed an underling directly on the lips. You've slept with the male gender. And if you had any money, I would take you to the bank. But I'd rather give you my wife.
So good. Oh, I have to head off to work.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you so much.
Oh. You're just talking to because you're talking to David.
Okay.
Jump in at Mark and Linna's next year when you're in as well.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We're trying. We had the trip planned to leave like enough time. The only people we're trying to work out how some of you moved to Perth. I mean, that's a little awkward,
Yeah, it is a bit of a drive.
Well, thanks for letting us have some time. Sarah, thanks for setting this up. It's very, very stylish, classy. Sky and Mrs. Sky for facilitating the platform.
Thank you, Floyd. Thank you.
I better get it back to you.
Blessings. We love you.
Love you too, Ali.
Love you.
And just so it's clear, I know you can speak for yourself, Ali.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Ali, please speak up.
Grandparents now, so we do everything so tightly together.
What she said.
Wow.
Ali said, "You do the talking. You do the talking."
Yeah.
Right.
Oh. Thank you.
We're gonna call an audible here and put my wife on the spot.
Yeah. Well, and as we know, some people have to be quiet because other people talk too much.
Julie,
you're on.
Hey, Julie.
Hello. Happy birthday, David.
Thank you, Julie.
Lovely to see you and Sarah. And so many people. Gosh. Well, speaking of drives to Perth, I know it's a long ways because I've driven it 4 times.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
I put her on the spot, so I'm gonna riff.
No, I don't have something to say other than happy birthday. I don't want to take other people's opportunities. But
well, good to see you, Julie, always.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you too, and I'm so happy you're getting the opportunity to see everybody.
Oh, faces. So many.
Wish I could hide in your suitcase when you go to Australia. It's been a long time. Whose turn is it, honey?
Grant?
About those Atkins people, since they're supposed to be at work or something.
There they are. Go.
Day off, but I'm supposed to be at work. Hi everyone. Hi, I'm going to jump. So I do get a word in. Yeah, we would have loved to seen you in person, but we will. We will see you.
We will.
Yes.
And so we're sending big hugs and germ-free kisses to you across the pond. And thank you for rippling over our lives or tidal waving over our lives at times when we needed it. Thank you so much. Such a slice of heaven to see you and see everybody here. I think of you very much as a listener in our lives, in my life. So yes, very, very fond memories. Anyway, Grant has written a poem for you. So, so I'm going to hand over to him.
And first, I'd like to apologise for all those who call themselves poets. All right. So, happy birthday, our brother David Kitch. On a day like today, just a few years ago, God began a creation, a gift soon we would know. From the inmost being, the knitting began, in the Maker's image with strong, loving hands. Should I make him a giant, least NBA tall, with lustrous locks and a slight southern drawl? Or a body like Arnie, strong, hard to stop, with so many choices, some rose to the top? I'll make him a dynamo with wisdom and passion, with a creative mind and a keen eye for fashion. Well, I'm not sure.
That's the safari suit.
The safari suit, that's right. He will preach of my love, visit many a port. He would rise to great heights while still being quite not tall. So the world got to meet our David J. Kitch. He was born young of age, wearing nary a stitch. He would grow to a man who was willing to dare, with good looks and brains, young ladies beware. But then came a redhead, a bit feisty with sass, and swept up our hero, won his heart with a crash. A marriage would join them, commitment of all, and they followed their saviour and heeded the call. They joined a weird bunch of faith junkie dreamers who travelled the world through plays, blessed believers. CP was its name, faith was its game, and the world would be changed by this bunch in God's name. Fast forward ahead, and the Kitchens arrived to the shores of old Oz once more, where they thrived. They came as the leaders of the Down Under tribe, and through faithful servanthood helped us to thrive. Warm-ups, our David each morning would lead. Our bodies were pushed to the limits indeed. We learnt about sits bones. My hips, they did wiggle. Unfortunately, these days, I have more to jiggle. Through teaching and guidance and sharing their knowledge, they grew all us oddbods through CPC College. Then when we were traveling, whilst out on the road, their voice on the phone was a loving abode. God's calling has taken you deeper and deeper. Theological college, the learning curve steeper. The Gooden School students, yes, you they adore. And it's great to see Sarah, the priesthood and more. I could go on for hours in sharing our heart. In the Atkins formation, you played a great part. It's an honour to share in this big day with you. Happy birthday, dear David. We bid you adieu.
Happy birthday.
Love you. All right, in the interconnectedness of life, when Grant and Allie lived in the house, like so many of you, Grant and Allie lived in the house for a stretch, and they left a few things when they went. And one of the things Grant very kindly left me was this very sartorial tuxedo jacket.
Oh.
Since mine no longer fit me, that one was. So its second most recent appearance was at Lynn Van Emmerich's wedding, where I was.
You're welcome.
I was able to wear it. It's how can you miss? I don't know where you got it. It's Armani. Well, probably from a thrift store, but still.
Yeah, I can't imagine us.
Anywhere else.
No, I was confident either a host gave it to you or it was one of those fines, but it works quite well for me now. Thank you.
Yeah.
But if the police turn up one day, it wasn't me, okay?
I have no idea who Grant Atkins is. Sorry. Doesn't mean anything to me.
When we come, we will bring all the pictures. We have them all, and they're hysterical.
Awesome. Awesome. Love you
Claire,
guys.
Claire Lewin.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, back in Australia.
David.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Happy birthday. I am exactly 1 week older than you.
Right.
Oh, there you
That's
are.
right.
So yeah, I only just found that out this morning, but yes. So I thought
It was a very good year.
It was a great year.
It was a very cold winter.
I want my deposit back on 2020.
Amen. Amen.
I had a really weird start in Covenant Players. I had never seen Covenant Players when I joined them. I was told 18 months before I joined Covenant Players that I'd be joining it by God, one of those weird, bolts of lightning. I never got to see them in that time. I had to finish my contract with the hospital I was working at. Months later, I joined CP having never seen a performance. The first performance I saw was David Kitchen Search. And, new recruits, they always do search, right? We always do search for the new recruits. And David Kitchen did search, and I suddenly went, okay, God, I get it, kind of. The next, 2 days later, I'm seeing David Kitch's Blue Max. And, my brain kind of leaked out my ears with that one. So you certainly had a very strong professional impact on me with your performances, but friendship, this crazy, shy New Zealander, and both of you were so warm and welcoming that I actually felt like I'd done the right thing, which was, when you'd never seen a performance was kind of, and all through the years, I've never forgotten the performances you've done, but Blue Max is still always my favorite.
All right, some credit where credit is due. That is to Friedman, who's on this call as well, from whom I learned that flip.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
However, you cannot blame Joe for the 30-minute Blue Max. That was the fault of whoever booked that first school tour when we didn't have enough plays.
You know that 80% of back injuries come from doing that flip wrong?
No, I can't blame the flip. No. Don't think so. But to credit where credit is due, Joe taught me the flip.
Well, thank you, Joe, as well. So yeah, it's been a kind of crazy life. I think most of us in Covenant Players can't say we have actually kept our lives particularly traditional. I think there's always that passion and that friendship and that happens like this. We actually, the Atkins, the Hans and I have a club called the Tin Fish Club from I Have Faith But, and we have dinner because we found in an old prop bag a tin fish with a hole in it. It is ceremoniously passed to the next host.
Who has the fish now, by the way?
Me. I have the tin fish. You have the tin fish, but I have the tin fish virtually. We're gonna, but yeah. So it's really a joy to see all of you guys again. I just wanted to finish off by saying I've been thinking while this is on what my gift time to in David's name is, and I teach over 300 students in my subject, and they are now scattered all over every corner of the world as they went home from the university when they had to. And one of the things I've been trying to do is spend time with each of these students around the world and let them know they're not forgotten. And especially the ones that couldn't get home and are now trapped at the university lodgings. Where actually a bunch of the staff are trying to spend virtual time with them. And I want to give how much students and growing people's minds and trust and faith in the Lord. I just want to dedicate that to you.
Amen. Amen. Oh,
Thank you.
Claire, thank you. Come on. Joe Shacky's there. Hello, Joe. Killing us. It is totally killing us to know that we're not coming down to Australia. Oh,
Just not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Well, Joe,
I'm just amazed to see Joe May with no kids.
need to hit your mute. You came, and I'll try to. I don't see you have any audio, Joe.
I can't.
You have to do
I can't.
sign, American Sign, Joe. I don't know how to help you. I can't help you get your audio. Can you go out and come back in? Can you get Zoom to shake hands?
No, she can't hear you either.
Okay. Okay.
She just said she loves you and she sends her greetings. She can't hear us either. I'm interpreting because I know how to interpret Australian sign.
Do you want to call her?
Why don't you get Shannon to talk? Shannon hasn't talked yet.
Yay!
Oh wait. Oh good. She's gone to get
Oh, got a 12-year-old.
Yeah, that'll do it.
10.
10.
Shannon.
Okay.
Shannonsky.
And wait, I see.
He'll fix it.
Oh, what's a
said, "Can you hear me
12-year-old
now?"
for? You're alive.
That's right. He was able to help me in lieu of my car. I had Caleb.
Another good reason to have kids.
Right. And to look after you when you're old. That's the only perk.
Well, Joe, you rang in at your moment on our list. So tag you're it, Joe.
Yay. Happy birthday, David. Hi, Sarah.
Oh, Joe. It is killing us to know that we're not coming down to Australia right now.
I was so looking forward to it.
Postpone.
Okay.
Postpone.
Yeah, that's
It's
Postpone.
totally going to happen.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So lovely. Well, what a lovely thing that Sarah's done for you, that you get to see all these beautiful people in your world.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. It's really lovely. I just felt really blessed to be invited to come. Oh, look at all
well,
these
it's so
lovely
good.
faces everywhere.
Yeah.
I get excited just seeing all your people.
Yes.
So, Joe, one of the requests was a 20-second or longer story about David. What you got?
So I was one of the Kitch girls for a while. I have always marveled at, and maybe this is more Sarah's than David's, but their aesthetic in their home. And so it has nothing to do with the amazing actor that he is, or the amazing director that he was, or the amazing leader that he is, but that he welcomed a whole bunch, and Sarah welcomed a whole bunch of, and we were entrusted in their home when they went and were being national directors elsewhere. And just that your aesthetic was really admirable. And in some ways, I have tried to recreate that even 30 years on. So there's some of your artwork and your love of your crosses, and and your home and your back deck and sitting up on your roof watching the fireworks on the 4th of July. Just so much love happened in your home. And I was just very blessed to be brought in under your wing as one of the Kitch girls.
That's right. You, Shannon, Debbie, Amy, yes.
And Carly, and it was very nice. But you two don't even look like you've aged a bit. Look at you. Like, I don't know what's happening here, what filter you've got on, but it looks amazing.
You guys are all such beautiful liars. I love it. I love it.
It's the MDiv collar that just slows aging.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's not choking. It just slows.
I would like to honor the mixes for the longest setting in Colombia, known to Record. They've been with us for now an hour and 48 minutes.
Yay!
Oh my God.
I know. Yeah, she jabbed you. I saw that, Anita. You kicked him right under the table, but I could tell. And Hannah Friedman is here. And well, look, just as a baton passing human among humans, tell us a David Kitch story. Hannah?
Well, I didn't really plan a David Kitch story, even though I have a million. And in this crowd, I'll just let everyone have a minute to take stock of the fact that I'm the age that I am and that I sound identical to Nance.
Sorry.
Actually, it is possible. It is possible to tell the two of you apart audibly. It is. But it is also striking how much you sound like each other. That's true. So how you doing, Mama?
I'm good. I am living in New York City with my wonderful husband, Alex, and my beautiful son, Jacob. Here, we'll have Jacob do a cameo. And Alex, if he wants to. Here's Jacob.
Here's Jacob. Oh, yay!
Here's Jacob.
Oh, hi, buddy. And how many months along are you on? You're ready for your second one, honey?
We are expecting kid number 2 in August. That is about the only thing we know about August.
Why should you be special?
Exactly. Yeah. So
I just want to point out that our other goddaughter, Sarah Airdrie, her current bestie is also an Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be a goddaughter of the kitchen, you have to like an Alex, I guess.
Solid, yeah. So I actually prepared, in the sort of grand tradition of not knowing what to say when in doubt, plagiarize. I prepared a singing telegram. And what I need from this crowd is lots of participation. So I have the chorus written down. I'll hold it up to my computer screen so everyone can sing along with the chorus.
You may have to unmute yourself. Everybody's muted, so you may have to reach in and find that button.
That's right. And Zoom is going to have an aneurysm, like everyone tries to sing at the same time. And then what I need from everyone for the rest of it is just bop. So it's like a really simple tune. It's like dum, 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 dum. So just everyone like bop. Exactly. So we'll start the music and everyone will know. Actually have the privilege of being a teenage girl in the 90s. This should like help compensate for that.
Wait, where'd she go? Where'd she go? There. Dum 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 da 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 dum dum
dum. Work for jobs commuting 7 hours each way. Just try to do that going mile after mile with patience and a smile on the freeways of LA. Yesterday he served in 6 different places, and if you're not sure how he does it while still being there for you and all your family too, join the club and just keep praying for that guy with $1 million smile. David Kitch, he's a dancer, he's a pal, he's a fencer, he's an actor, he's a fence. We love you, David Kitch. Does your house buy you beers? Shares hugs and joys and tears. We know you wouldn't want it any other way.
Make sure we can see.
Be hard pressed to find a nicer man. Rest assured that he's got guts to persevere. He's been doing it for ages. Let's wish him a happy birthday. May God grant him many years. David Kitch, he's a dancer, he's a pal.
He's a fencer, he's an actor, he's a mensch. Love you, David Kitch.
David Kitch.
Oh, oh, and the crowd goes wild. The crowd goes crazy. Oh.
All right, it becomes a mensch.
Oh, and it's dueling volumes. Whoever speaks loudest or laughs, I think, wait a minute.
We were connecting with Shannon as well there.
Well, Amy Gus.
We had, Amy came on. We had Amy.
Yeah, Shannon.
Shannon, she's our one. If she can't finish this out, no one can.
Happy birthday, David.
Thank you, Shannon Ski.
You're welcome. I'm so glad to see you. I missed you when we were there last summer. So you had to go on vacation when we came. So I know you're just getting out of town, but happy birthday. Gosh, this last couple of days, I've been really thinking a lot about just all the memories. There's so many, but I think, and then a lot of people have talked about just your home and how you have given so much of it. I think what I didn't realize was how much your home, you made my home. And I got to come, every time I come to your place, it's my home. I come home to home. And yeah, like I laughed so much there. We mud wrestled, we dug ditches, we avoided earthquakes. I cried so many tears there from just friends leaving or hurtful things happening. I left and then I came back and I was married and like I lived a whole lifetime in your house. It really was I grew up in your house. I had a bedroom, so I kind of feel like I was a little more special than the couch surfers because I actually got a bed. But I don't know that you know that. I mean, I feel like I lived so much of my growing up years in your house. You were my true home. When I think back about just all the growing up years that I had, years in your home, in that bedroom, it was very memorable to me, and I'm so thankful for that. And then, okay, so my one last memory, which I don't know if you'll even remember this, David, but it was my first summer in Covenant Players. And I think we were doing our retreat at, and I don't know why, but I'm not actually seeing David right now. I have other people on my screen. So I'm assuming you're listening to me. I'm here. There you are. Now I see you. Okay. So it was my first summer. And I think that CPCC was at Big Bear, one of those camps, not the crappy one, the really nice one that was up in Big Bear. Just to make sure everybody knows. Yeah. A really nice primo one. And Chuck had his, the stupid summer games, the retreat game, whatever it was. And, right? Yes. And I was on your team for whatever reason. And afterwards, we had to go on walk talks or talk walks. Oh. And I didn't have anyone to talk walk, and you picked me, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. And I get to go with David Kitch. He's like the treat, the bomb. So, but it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me because you know, you're a new person and you're David Kitch, you know? So anyway, I just felt like I got picked for the best team. So I don't know how in the very grand scheme of everything that I got to be friends with David and Sarah Kitch, or that I got to be in your home and got to be such great friends with you. But thank you, thank you, thank you. You've touched my life. You continue to touch my life. You continue to be these wonderful, beautiful people in my life that I get to go back and visit to. But you really are like going home. Please don't ever move. That house is, you just can't ever move, please. I want to keep going back there, that this is the street where I grew up, that this is the place where I became who I was as a, I don't know, young woman, believer, whatever. Yes. So I love you. I love you. Love you. Happy birthday. You are just the most fantastic. Yes.
Shannon, I need you to introduce.
So back by popular demand, right? We want to hear from Peter Iverson and hear his grand stories of the Kitch Iverson household.
Peter, can you unmute yourself? Oh no, Sarah, you might have to run next door and poke.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. There you go.
Did I do it?
There he is.
We got, oh, there you are, you're on.
Hi. This beard I'm growing for Denise, so you know. Yeah. It's 2 days. Hi, David.
Hey, Peter. Long time no see. It's been minutes.
Just bang on the wall.
I want to say it was just so fun sitting here coaching and watching everybody. And I kept like going back and forth across the bottom of the screen to see everybody who's here. And I just wish I had some crepe paper, because I figured we could decorate the house for David and say, climb up on the roof and like Joe said, watch the fireworks. And there's just so much to think about and remember about our lives together, David and Sarah and Denise and I, and all of these faces that I know so well. And I've been thinking about what I wanted to talk about. And I guess what the thing that that I'd like to remember with you, David, is when you came back from Australia in like the cusp of 89, 90, and we started working on that lawsuit, and those 2 or 3 years after that. And if I haven't told you strongly enough how much that meant to me, what a blessing you were, and how you really helped me out. And I pray and hope we help everybody up. But the key point of that I think we all really have a share in is when it was maybe 92, 91, 92, when we did a performance at the church, the host church in Toledo of The Messenger. And John McHugh, who was the attorney, who was helping us, didn't know who we were from Apple Butter. He was only because Wick Stevens called him, who was in all the books of lawyers about how amazing he was, that he even took us on. And he was always cordial and very nice to us. And he would shake his head and write on a paper and say, "Now, what do you do? How do you do that?" Who and what we were. And what it really took for him to understand was for him to watch The Messenger. And after he and his wife saw it, he came up to us. And I know, see, the reason I'm telling this story is not to make you and me look great, because it's something every one of the people on this call and hundreds more around the world have done. People come up to you after you bring them the gospel in a way that they haven't seen it before, and say, what? He was like speechless. And that play made him understand everything that we've been saying for 2 years, and all the millions of papers we've been bringing him, and all the stuff and all that we've been going through to try to show him who we were, and also show him why we did what we did.
And that's all of us. I can't see everybody, but I mean, I'm speaking to everybody here. What a gift! What a gift that we have had, and we continue to have in our own ways. I can look at the people here that I'm still connected with, and know that this is going on. I mean, it's going on. We're like God's people, God's representatives, and like they're millions. It's not just us, but it's just a gift. I'm just so happy to be still living this life that when I was 15 years old and walked to that place, I thought, my gosh, I'd be an actor and get paid $10 a week. Wow. I'm, it's amazing. And I really still kind of feel that way. I really still feel that way. I still feel that we're living the life that God has given us to live, and we're still learning, and we're still stumbling and running into things, and at the same time we're still rising above things. And no time better than right now to understand how much we need our Lord, and how much the world needs the Lord. So, and it's just how great to be not only living this life, but to be living it next door to you guys. I mean, it can't beat that. So it's just great. And I have to tell Grant something, and Allie, that our front yard's very different. We couldn't pull your car up and wash it on our front yard anymore.
No,
I was planning that next week.
Because it's got all this natural stuff that we grew out there, so you'd have to run over a lot of plants.
Send us a photo.
Don't worry, Grant. It'll only take a few minutes to move the two cars out of the driveway. Then there's plenty of room. Come in.
All right. Well, put the kettle on. We'll be there.
There's so many
shrimp on the bobby.
I love the life we've lived, and it's great to see everybody's face. And that's why I was going back and forth, that I kind of want to just do that now, to look at everybody. And just thank you so much for being in my life and in our life. And wow, what a great gift from that sausage McMuffin Grant and I would get on the way to work, and there's all these little things that I see people looking at. Yeah. Summer with all of you, and the garage parties and all of the rest of it. So anyway, thanks for creating a life that is a pleasure to continue to live, and bless us, bless David. And I'm glad you're 26 finally, David. It's about time.
We were brought together by a storyteller. The other day, I was woken with the phrase, "for such a time as this." And God bless Google, it showed me that was Esther in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
At which I promptly looked it up, and a beautiful English voice would read it back to me, all 8 chapters. So I got on the exercise bicycle, and I thought, well, Julie's been wanting me to get a little heart rate going. So I was able to get that into my head, for such a time as this, thinking how each one of you, whether you've got a master's, a doctorate, or like me, just hard knocks, and continuing to take the next step in listening to what God wants us to do and be by showing up. I had such a hard time leaving Covenant Players, thinking performance was an ego trip. David and I had a conversation about that a few days ago, until I saw a 16-year-old woman rock a bunch of Christian reform up in Grand Rapids, because she wasn't singing for them. She was singing to God. And each of you are now ordained, as God has blessed you with the gifts that each of you have, to go forth and live in the moment of the liminal space of who Jesus is in your hands and your feet. Amen.
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 Sarah Kitch, we hand over the meeting to you before we just rain on cacophony until cows come home. because I will
We are-
unmute things as soon as Sarah is over, and it will just be a free-for-all until you all get bored.
We are full to overflowing, truly. And indeed, it really is about connectivity. However it was that we met in our lives, whatever those circumstances are, we still are. And this is the second chapter of Acts. This is the fellowship that we share with one another because of Jesus Christ. So thank you all so much for this commitment, and thank you so much just for honoring this day and being able to make it possible. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay, I'm going to unmute the world, and cacophony will happen.
Happy birthday, David. So good to see everybody. Oh, Babaloo.
Hey there.
Hey, Robert.
There you go.
My gosh, some of you I haven't seen forever.
Lynn.
Unmute the mixes.
Roomie. Lynn, my roomie. Hi, sweetie.
Long time.
Joe,
Oh my
you look
gosh,
gorgeous.
forever. You poor woman had to live with me.
You did okay.
Yes, we did. It's so good to see you.
Oh, you too.
Sherry.
Hey.
Who's talking? Hi. I feel like I've seen you. I watch you on Facebook running and things all the time.
Hi, Anita. Hi, Anita. Sorry, I feel like I'm two.
Anita and Lloyd have been a real inspiration on the internet to us.
Oh my God, you
So
guys.
we want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
Your stories have made it into my sermons on several occasions.
Absolutely. And David and Don. Oh my gosh.
They touch me and transform my heart in so many ways. So many ways.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, that may sound a little, I don't know whether that sounds selfish or not, but it just really, yeah, those push me.
Hi, Pammy. Thank you.
Tammy.
Awesome. I can't talk. I will cry. Good to see you.
God has totally blessed you.
Cry, Pammy. It's
Luda
okay.
and Lloyd.
Oh, Tammy, my screen is so tiny. This is so tiny.
Bye, Pammy.
Bye, Pammy.
Bye, Pammy. I love you.
Bye, everybody.
David, I love David Ingram. I love your posts about current events. They are just priceless. Wonderful.
Well,
That's wonderful.
I don't know. Should we let Peter Rhodes into the party?
Carrie Ann, I love your posts about your kids. They are just heartwarming and funny. Very funny.
Well, trauma isn't always funny, but boy, working through it can bring a lot of humor, and humor is good. So
I really love it. Yeah.
no, but
Well,
you're an amazing.
yeah.
That from a foster child.
I know, but you're amazing. You're amazing.
Better late than never.
Hey,
Peter
Pete.
Rhodes is in the house.
Hey, Peter.
Hello. Hi, Tom. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Bob. Hi, everybody. I just say everybody. It's just everybody. Hi, everybody. Happy birthday, Mr. Kitch.
Why, thank you.
That's Peter Rhodes.
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Peter Rhodes.
Not muted. I forgot.
Hi, Teresa.
And
Bye.
We're back online. Hi. Hi, Anita.
Joe Shackney, I want you to make sure, I want to thank you and the Hans and the Atkins and all the people that showed up at the Hans home when we were in Australia. That was a gift. I loved it.
Awesome.
I was completely jet lagged, but I didn't.
You were loopy. I wondered if you were on something, Tom.
Hey, Loopy, that's kind of normal state, though.
How would you know?
He toured with him.
Yeah, carry on toured with me. She knows.
It was so delightful. It was so awesome.
It was.
I'm so sad that Sarah and David aren't coming, and we're going to repeat the occasion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I felt so honored because we were only in Australia for one day. And
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
It
so
was
sad.
beautiful.
Well, you are worth the 2.5-hour drive, my friend.
Well, I'm sorry we missed Peter Rhodes, though. I want to go to Tasmania next.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're all very welcome. Please, everybody come to Tasmania. Really. It's,
Double the population.
very quickly.
We're gonna go. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Sherry.
Bye. Love you
For being a
guys.
part of our lives. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
David, can you lead us in one more round of Head and Shoulders Baby 1, 2, 3?
No,
Gee, I've really got a lot to do around here. There's.
I was thinking I could help you, Peter.
For a while.
You could tell I haven't had a haircut for a while. I should probably get that attended to as well. So, you know. I've got a beard I could pluck one hair at a time, which might be less painful than that.
I did feel a little sacrilegious in having to mute Bob Blau's laugh. I felt it was,
I know.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to stop.
You can't help doing it. You can't help doing it. You can't, what are you talking about? You're the Blau.
It is a gift, Bob.
Okay,
That is a
well,
gift.
I'm glad you all enjoyed it.
I do have to tell a Bob Blau story. Can I tell a Bob Blau story?
Okay.
In an 8 Mile.
Your host.
In the movie 8 Mile, I didn't know what the movie was. I had never been to a movie with Bob Blau. Oh, that's an experience.
Ah, yes.
I start whispering to him about, and he looked at me,
Mm-hmm.
and he went, I don't even think he said anything. It's like, oh, we don't talk in a movie. And what I didn't realize, it was Eminem in a story about Detroit. And after about the 14th F-bomb in every sentence is when I realized it was a foreign language film. And
No one talks in a movie. Sorry.
I learned two things in a single moment. So
I get very touchy about that. Yes.
Oh, what, that are you British understatement? Touchy.
I just, you know, I'm an actor. I want to immerse myself.
And everybody within 12 feet.
And there's a problem with this?
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, David. I had a friend once who, at a movie, people were talking behind us, and he stood up and turned around and said, "Too bad they made the movie without you." And they all, woo, quiet for the rest of the movie.
I've had people in the row in front of me get up and move because I was laughing too much.
Well, that happens to me too. I understand that.
Some of it are, you know, expressive of our joy, and that's a good thing, right?
Grant and
Rhodes,
Natalie have left.
can you tell us a story about David Kitch?
Go.
Can I tell you a story about David Kitch?
Yes, please.
Careful, Peter. I got as many rocks as you do.
I know. I'm thinking of a positive one, David. that will bring joy and happiness on this special day for you and everyone else. Because I know the ammunition you have against me, and I'm very careful to play a defensive move straight up. David, as most of you know, David was my first unit leader, and he was very gracious to me at a time when I was a very self-confident, overly self-confident young man. in lots of things, in life, in performing, and in particularly driving. So he was very gracious to me. So let's just say that.
Remember that wombat?
I remember the wombat, David. Yes, I do. Yeah, I remember the drive-through. I don't know what mountain range it was, and
Gippsland. It was in Gippsland.
Yeah, frequent stops we had to make for the other passengers to get out and gather some air, but we kept going. Our first Easter in Yakandanda doing the Beacon. That was a pretty epic end too. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's still a very beautiful memory for me, and getting to do it 2 or 3 times. Did we do it? 3?
Yeah, twice. Yeah, twice.
3 times?
Yeah.
Twice. Yeah.
How many of you have directed David in a play?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's very gracious in receiving directions, isn't he? Well, I had the joy of directing David and Peter Iverson in the same play. So David, by contrast, was very gracious. Hi, Pete.
Sergeant's Kingdom.
That's right. That was.
I've directed Peter Iverson and Suzanne Gettle in many plays.
Yeah.
And Suzanne Gettle is worse than all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, funny worse. He's always hysterical, but it's never, ever the right thing.
Aren't you really not the director? You're the suggester.
Pretty much, Peter just gets in there and does what he wants, and Suzanne reacts to what he says or does, and we're all in stitches. And then I say, okay, can we make this a play now? And that's much it.
That last experience, Bob, that was the real question. Can we make this a play?
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't a play until we made it one. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, in the movies, they have the second assistant director who directs everybody except the stars, and that's kind of what you feel like sometimes. Isn't it? You direct all these background people, and you stars, you just do,
And you do your thing over there, and
it's a beautiful creation.
Or directing Sarah and David in the same play. That's always interesting. No comment on that one. You
almost feel guilty sitting in affirmation, taking all the praise, don't you, Bob? When you know you've absolutely done nothing.
That's exactly right. Chuck gives me these great performers, and then, whoa, what a great director you are. And I think, yeah. Thanks.
I got the setup.
I'm sure Ron never had any problems either being directed together or being able to work in plays together. See?
Never. Just remember the tie, Sarah. Remember the tie.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I do. I remember it vividly. I'm sorry that I didn't have to remember it. I'm going to drink some more wine and let that go.
Were you the stage manager, Shannon?
Yeah.
Did you? Shannon managed that play with the tie?
Yes.
I saw you.
Yes, that was something.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was so weird.
It was very weird and very something.
You hear the tie story.
And you're very quiet about all this. You were the stage manager for so many of these experiences and moments.
I know. I just felt like I got to sit and just watch. I just kept my mouth shut. I wish I had popcorn and I could just eat popcorn.
It's true. You and Carly and whoever else was on you'd be sitting out there just munching popcorn away, and then you'd run around backstage.
Hey, at least you got to wear a sari in Sergeant's Kingdom. You got to be on stage.
Just had a thought, David. I was trying to think if we ever were on stage together. Did we do Legacy together when you came out to Massachusetts?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
We did do a play date then.
Congrats. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
We
Amy,
did.
I'm glad you finished that sentence because when David came out and then you just stayed there, have you been a part of this conversation for long? I don't know, just saying.
I finished it. It's, yeah, setting the stage.
Bye,
Bye, Joanne.
Bye, Joanne.
Bye.
See you when we see you.
We will.
Yes, yes, definitely.
We'll always be part of the Kitch Girls, okay?
Yay.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye, bye, lovelies. Bye, Bob.
David, would you have any David stories?
He is a David story.
Thank you.
Are you too close to the trees?
I'll tell him if you're telling lies, okay?
The tribe has spoken.
Yeah, I'm just a little overwhelmed. This has been amazing. I do hope someone, Sarah Airdrie or Sky or someone, will send me a list of everybody who was on. So, because I didn't get a chance necessarily to individually connect with everybody. It's very deeply moving and touching, and I have been tearful, but I've been careful to try to make sure nobody knows, because I am still that David too.
We don't want you to mascara to run.
Yeah, exactly.
I say ask me about the truck.
I want to hear about the truck.
The steak truck going to Cruise for Chicks, is that the one?
That one, just talking about,
What?
It's just, it really is overwhelming. It really is overwhelming. I have so much love for all of you and all the people who've been here, and so much of the love I have, the ability I have to love is thanks to all these people, all of you, and all of these different relationships that we've had. And I really don't have a lot that I could really think to say that is appropriate to honor all of this, and just the amazing range of people I hadn't seen in a long time, a lot of them, but who are all very, very special. And I guess the one thing that is, it's just significant to me to see how everybody's lives have moved on in such beautiful ways. If I think about looking at things through lenses of, the good, the true, and the beautiful, I think what is so good and beautiful and true to me is to see this group of people and to know how they've all become really amazing human beings, and that they're continuing to be amazing human beings, and that doesn't happen for everybody, for a lot of reasons, not always an individual's fault. But it doesn't happen for everybody. And another thing I've been very mindful of for a long time, both Sarah and I know many of you, we've talked about it at times, and that is in my work, in my being a chaplain for the last years, and even in the much before that, understanding how often people just don't have a group of friends that where they can learn how to love. And they didn't learn how to love. I mean, I work a lot with children and families now, and they didn't learn how to love. They don't learn, so many people don't learn how to love in their families of origin. And so where are they going to learn to love, be loved? And I think that's the great work. I think that's what's sacred and divine work. How we learn to love and learn to be loved. And I'm just overwhelmed by the gift that I have had to have such an amazing group of people. And I didn't come from a family. I mean, I came from of course, a dysfunctional family. There is no other kind. But I did not come from a damaged family the way so many of you and so many of the people I have the privilege of loving and learning with now came from. And but still, the grace of that to carry into being able to be with so many people in so many ways, for the gift of being given. I mean, we're itinerants, and God gave us a space to make sacred and holy that so many people have mentioned, and what this space has been able to be for so many people, including when we had absolutely nothing to do with it. You know, so I'm just going to ramble if I'm not. So I would just say that's the thing that right now is very much on it, and that I can continue, that even now at 62.
Sure, rub it in, Kitch.
I feel like now in so many ways I'm just beginning to understand how to be more vulnerable as a human being, how to be more loving, how to be more human. And all of you have certainly been the paving stones that have laid the road for me to walk on. So, not that I want to walk all over you, but
I'll take it.
It's fine. It's okay.
but that's it. That's it. And another piece, we mentioned this before, but I'll say it. I'll make sure Sarah Airdrie knows. Just to, one of the griefs that we have been walking is giving up the Australia trip, because that you don't know what you got till it's gone. And I myself did not realize how emotionally I invested I'd become in that. And part of it's all tied up with it being a gift from my dad when he died, or the ability to do it being a particular gift he wanted us to have, and all those things. And knowing it's only postponed, it's still, I realize what an emotional investment I had. I'll speak for myself. I had in that, and the grieving process of that, on top of managing a lot of grief for a lot of other people, which is, it's my stock and trade right now. And it's very challenging for schools, particularly a school that's a community that has a faith-based ethos and certain expectations that go with that. And so anyway, I just think, and having all the Aussies on board, Pete, there was a substantially marvelous turnout from your side of the pond.
That's sensational. I'm very proud of us.
Yeah. Even Chambers got on. That's how extreme this thing went.
Wow, you must be more special than even I thought, David.
Either that or and he didn't do a commercial for his artwork or anything. I don't know.
Wow, that's sensational.
But in any event, I just thank you. I'm blathering. Shut up.
You don't have to be succinct. It's okay.
Well, I never was. I mean,
we know.
I think this is what love looks like, David.
Amen.
Amen.
This is what love looks like.
Hey, I've created affirmation papers for everyone.
May I speak to the director, please? Sky, brilliantly handled.
Thank you, Sky. Thank you. And Sarah, thank you.
Life is a team sport. I've learned that since having a brain tumor, that when you're given a second chance, you take it. My lovely wife referred to me as manic, and I tried to channel it as passionate.
Yeah, I like that.
But again, it was the gift of we have a unique history. And as been stated, we learned to live on peanut butter for weeks, months, years.
I still love peanut butter.
For lunch.
That may have something to do with the skin condition, but that's a different conversation. But I believe for such a time as this, it really is we are called, and my ordination of my voice that means nothing other than the God that called all of us into being is a blessing, that those of you that have done your due diligence and your heavy study and your heavy lifting, that I do not have those gifts as a Lex Disick. I'm lucky to spell my own name. And so,
I
David,
still get that.
I'm so blessed that you have loved into us. Sarah, that you have continued to love David.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
40 years. 40 years.
I will share with you quickly that your example of how to be a husband and wife intentionally is a benefit, because I brought many of those examples home of rising to a wife that was now leaving and supporting the family, who needed breakfast, who needed the laundry done, who, I'm sorry, I still don't take the dog out, but that's a whole different conversation. So again, thank you. And I think Lynn, you gotta chime in.
Lynn. And we eliminated 2 of them, animals and children. Many of you have already surfeited many other obstacles that we didn't have to be able to do. So anyway, we love you very, very, very much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's been awesome. Are we doing this next week?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not every week, but I do think it would be nice to just, set up every month or something.
Sure.
I agree. Yeah.
It's
great here.
So this was the technology, now let's use it.
Well, I've got another 30 days. Actually, I'm subscribed monthly, and I got room for 100 humans. So
my screen is not that big.
And
you can hook it up to a TV. We've got everybody.
Cool.
Whoa, then that was great.
It's called casting to device.
A star.
Casting to device. You
Wow.
are the, well, that's the love of living in houses with tech people.
Well,
I learned how to build websites too. So,
as Seth Godin has encouraged us, what is the problem that we need to solve? I would be all for that. And if David gets the brass plaque in his name, we can keep adding it to it. But
Sounds good.
Anyway.
So Amy, I ordain you with the opportunity to make this happen. We'll talk.
Okay. All right. So good to see everyone.
Totally. Good night, everybody.
Night. Bye.
blessings on you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, and they all just fell off.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now it's just the 2 Peters.
Yeah, they thought it was done,
Okay, it's just the 5 of us now.
Okay.
We're gonna party like in the garage with the 2 Peters.
Now we can really tell David's story.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna.
He's not here anymore.
I'm gonna stop recording.
Okay.
Okay. Au revoir.
Oh, what? No. The stream is still live. I'm not recording it anymore.
Okay.
So now you can start dropping the F-bombs.
There's no evidence now.
Melissa Moore told me a great F-bomb story the other day. I called her and I said, "Doctor, I need help. I've been dropping the F-bomb and my wife is really upset." So she told me the story about glop. Have you heard the story about glop?
No.
If I can tell it quickly, a little preschooler was building his blocks. No, this is her story, but this is how she told it that I'm telling it now. And all of a sudden he knocked his blocks over, and the teacher, and he drops the F-bomb. Blah! And the teacher runs over and says, Billy, what happened? Oh, my blocks fell over. He says, well, that word, we don't use that word here. We use, and she kind of looks both ways, and she says, we use the word glop. Glop? What's glop? Well, that's when it's something really important. So if you need my attention, you can use that word. And so he kind of goes, yeah, okay. And so she walks away, and he builds his blocks and knocks them over and says, glop. And she rushes over to him and says, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she says, well, you said that word, so I thought you meant it. Oh. And so she substituted the F-boom, ba-boom, bomb for glop. So glop is my new favorite 4-letter G word.
Yay. Hey, we're gonna go eat pizza. We haven't had dinner yet. We love you guys.
Enjoy the pizza.
Really good to see you.
All
Yeah,
right, so
really. Bless you. Thank you, Sky. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Jim.
Hi,
You're
bye.
all welcome to Seattle anytime, Rhodes.
We have a guest room.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Bye.
Okay.
Come, bring your trunks. Bring the dog.
Yeah, Peter's been to this house before.
Peter has in this room. Peter.
No, both Peters have been here.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Rhodes?
Yeah, Peter
now
Rhodes
I know where
toured
you
here.
are. Yeah, now I know where you are. Yeah.
This is where the red Firebird, Thunderbird was. And we
Yeah.
edited down here. Peter Iverson was here with Wes. This is now our bedroom.
Yeah, we put the curtains up on a reason for a purpose, honey.
Yeah, but they've been down here already. They know what
We're hiding stuff on purpose, Sky. You don't have to unhide it.
But he does.
behind the curtain.
Pay no attention.
And the road, Iverson's gone.
All right.
Okay.
Have a
I
great
guess
day.
that's-
Bye.
Bless you. Love you all.
Love you too.
Bye, guys.
Good to see you, Rhodes. So cool. Let's do this more often.
Yeah. Why do we need a birthday or a pandemic to do this stuff?
We don't, we just don't get to it.
I've been pondering
I know.
that. We don't now, and we all speak
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah. Cool.
So
All right. We'll talk soon.
What do you want to host? What's the theme and when?
Okay. There's got to be one.
Yeah.
It's the national holiday of the Christmas and Cocos Islands on the 24th.
Well,
okay.
You need wine?
what's the? No, I mean, I guess
Thanksgiving. We should
Okay.
do a Thanksgiving one at least.
Yeah.
Well, before then, how about between now and Thanksgiving? Which Thanksgiving? Whose? Canadians? New Zealand's?
I don't
Americans?
think,
What is it? Is
Yeah.
there a national non?
When is this in October?
You know, our summer, their winter. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You missed
Yeah.
it.
We've missed Anzac Day. That's really the only day we've got.
What's
so.
what's Nels Marshall? Nels Marshall.
Oh no, Australians have a holiday like twice a month, so you can have a long weekend.
That's worse
Yeah,
than
that's
Canada.
true. Yeah, we do that. Yeah.
That's your Canadian heritage.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Well, what is Saint Nelt Byland? Love
Bye.
seeing you. So sweet. So what good excuse could we?
September is Speak Like a Pirate Day.
It is.
23rd day of September is International Earth, Wind and Fire Day.
Scott Fugate would host that.
You would, yeah.
I've been wanting to do that one. You missed out. I wanted to do this meeting with Scott and
Yeah.
Jerry Shario,
Oh yeah.
and they were going to put on acts and they were going to put on costumes, and Scott would be an elephant and Jerry would be a donkey. And do not do that. You steal my punchlines. You do know what I was going to say. I've told you about it. So that's the punchline of it's the 12-step program. And
Yeah.
Ernie the elephant, who is Scott, says, I'm really embarrassed. I don't know what I'm doing here. And Jerry Shario, the donkey, says, oh, you're amongst friends and it's 12-step and we all love you. And so the well, and so Ernie says, well, I have to explain that I feel like I self-identify as a donkey. You can see Scott doing that, can't you?
Oh yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
then Jerry says, "Oh, that's totally understandable, because as a donkey, I actually self-identify as an elephant."
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, of course, that is the story of the show.
Yeah.
The elephant in the room.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
So that's
all
my,
right. We'll dig around. We'll find a date. We'll find something suitable, and I'll get in touch with you, and we'll do another one because this is great.
Okay.
Sensational.
And I want to meet your wife sometime. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about.
Oh, yeah, there is nothing but wonderful things to say.
That's wise thing to say.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it. Who finally reached out to you? Who poked you hard enough to make it?
I think Alison Wismore got hold of me.
Good job, Allison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. As it should be. Well, God bless you, sir.
Yeah, you too. Love you both.
Bye, Peter.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
End meeting for all.